Right. Hello guys. How you doing? Hopefully we are live. Welcome to my first Planet Zoo live stream. Very awesome to see you peeps hanging out. So Phil, hello, how you doing? Canal, how you doing? Moonlight, Wesley, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are all good. So this is a bit of an end of an era, I guess, for me in the kind of Planet Zoo world, because this has probably been definitely been my most favourite project so far. As we load in very slowly into this, I'm expecting this to be fairly quiet in terms of a stream. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right and we're all good. Just having some water there, sorry. So yeah, this is all going to be, I think this will be pretty chilled as a stream, to kind of end this project off. A couple of ideas I want to do. Basically just kind of want to have a look around for a bit before we kind of move on from this project. So we're going to do that. I think we'll start off with that bit of a tour. It's very bright, isn't it? Hold on a second. Let me have a little look at my settings, because I've got some settings going on. Brightness is a bit higher, but I think that's probably okay. That'll do. So are we all good? How is everybody doing this fine Friday? I'm gonna grab one of these guys. I think from what I remember, there's a few other big streamers streaming some Planet Zoo tonight. So if you are hanging out with me, I very much appreciate it. That's very cool of you guys. Hopefully the stream is doing all right and not too laggy. Let me just check something real quick before we get started. Just want to... Yeah, it looks like it's doing all right to me. Yeah, I'm good, Phil. Good. Play Planet Coaster. I have got Planet Coaster, Wesley. I think I will be potentially trying it at some point. Maybe when the console release happens. Did I lose that guy? Yes, I did. Okay, so we're going to move around. We're going to move around in Tegid Cam if I can get this right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. Gets a bit shady in here, but if you haven't seen this has been my kind of one and only project for the last, God, what is it, a couple of months, I guess, on Planet Zoo. When I started off, I was really working on sort of big scale whole zoos. I started off in the franchise. I'm not sure how many of you guys would have seen those, but started off in franchise zoos, and I just found that they got a bit overwhelming for me, and so I really enjoyed working on this project as kind of just a standalone one-off detailed thing. I'm going camping, so I won't stay for long. That's cool, Phil. No worries. Thanks for popping in, dude. Thanks for the support, buddy. So yeah, I thought I'd work on this as kind of a standalone thing. If you've played Planet Zoo much, and I'm assuming most of you guys have, but what you find very quickly is that you end up getting so kind of laggy that if you kind of go to the detail levels that I want to, it gets so laggy that we just kind of can't really play the game. So I thought I would just start on a smaller project, go to town on the details, and not have to worry about the FPS and that sort of thing. Which animals are in the dome? If you hang around, dude, you will see all of the animals. We're going to do a little tour. I'm going to do a little tour, and then we'll probably do some work. We might do a little bit of an area because we've got a couple of little gaps and things. So the first thing I did was the dome itself. Episode 1 was the actual structure. If you didn't see that episode, this was based on the Parc Zoologique in Paris, which has got a great big massive dome in it. And it looks a little bit like this. I don't think it's got quite this structure, and it's loosely this kind of this shape. So episode 1 was really just kind of getting the building together, and the idea was always supposed to be sort of semi-realistic. I'm just realising I've got, what's that shadow coming from? Where's that coming from? Oh, there he is. Hello. Let's take that. Let's set you free, dude. You can be free. So yeah, it was supposed to be loosely based on that. That was the inspiration point. It's quite often a good idea to start with something that's kind of a good inspiration and then work from there. You guys got in-game audio? It looks like it's a bit quiet. Let me know if it's if my audio is all right. I think the in-game might be a little bit quiet. More like a tube. Yeah, it is more like a tube, and that's actually it's almost like a squashed sausage, sort of squashed at the end. I hadn't seen anyone do that. Most people do the domes the other way. In fact, actually, let's go back and look at the structure a little bit. Most people do the domes like that. Like that is you build the outer circle wall, and then this is your ceiling. So if you imagine everything there turned 90 degrees, that's what most people do. And I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to do something different because I sort of had this kind of whole structure, these like internal like riggings and girders and things, all in mind. And the only real way to do that was to kind of start with a circle and then roll it on its side. So the whole thing, if you saw episode 1, was doing that. Now let's go inside and have a little looky around. I can't decide if I want to be in Tegid Cam or not. If you don't know what Tegid Cam is, it's a very simple little trick. So you just rename one of your staff members Tegid Cam, and then you can move around in their view. That's how when you see people making content with like tours and stuff, this is what they do. So I'm like stuck to the floor here. My camera's stuck to the floor. So let's go inside and then we'll have a wander around and we'll sort of talk about the different bits, and then we'll do some building some point in the stream. I'm seeing my FPS is a bit rubbishy. Hope that's all right on your end, guys. So yeah, this was kind of actually weirdly, this was the most recent this was the most recent addition. Let's turn that off for a sec. This was the most recent addition to the dome. We'd had this room here for a long time and hadn't really done anything with it. I was kind of lacking ideas with it. I kind of knew I always wanted to make it like a kind of an educational part of the zoo, which I think is something we're probably going to work on a bit today, some of those extra little details and stuff. Ceiling is, and if you see anything at any point, guys, that you want me to kind of explain how it's done or look at the pieces, then just give me drop a note in the chat and I'll jump on that, because I'm happy to kind of talk you through any bits and pieces. This was a piece off of the workshop. There is a collection on the I think the collection link is in the Discord in the description for the video. But this was my most recent addition, and yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. It's actually had a few people ask me since I did it. Let's just try and get a piece here. Actually, let's just go to let's go back in out of Tegid Cam after all that. And let's go into. I have to say I still haven't really mastered the camera. I have not really mastered the camera in this game. I'm pretty terrible with it, so I do apologise if I'm kind of all over the place. Let's turn that back on again. Get rid of that. Okay, so that's better. So yeah, the pieces that I used actually are gutters. So if we just pull one of those out, it's the gutter piece, and the gutter piece is actually a better piece for the small square than you get if you use a switch. A lot of people use the switches. Switches are really great, but they're a slightly larger object. So this was actually, yeah, the most recent episode, weirdly. So we're not going to do these we're not doing these in order of my episodes, particularly at this point. And we'll go through the back room stuff in a bit, but we'll go this way first. So yeah, this was all. I think this was all part of episode 2. Getting these doors in place. Wanted it to kind of look like it had like an airlock system. The animals are obviously in their habitats, but within the actual dome, there's birds and things in there. So it's supposed to feel like it's kind of protecting. This kind of airlock system stops you from having animals kind of running out of the dome. So we've got one coming into there and one coming into here, and obviously that's just a duplicated piece. I think this is actually on the workshop as well, this door. So it's supposed to look like it's a sliding door. Put this gap down the middle of it. And then as we go in, so this was my first habitat, and I think I slightly deviated away from this as we went forwards. I am going to turn the game sound up a little bit because I'm not getting... Oh, it's because we're paused, isn't it? That's all it is. Let's just go... Let's do that. Alright, so that is going to be louder, so let me know if that's too loud, guys. Hopefully we can play with the game actually running, because even at this size of building, this is getting quite laggy. Yeah, so this was definitely the first... This wasn't really based on much that I saw in the dome itself. I'm actually going to turn it down just a touch because it is a little loud. This was actually really inspired, only really inspired by this kind of wavy line. So I saw this wavy line thing in a picture. So just rather than having like a squared viewing area or a window, this was actually kind of just based on a picture that I saw that just did a little bit more of an interesting idea. How that's created is using one of the sign pieces. If I can just grab this. So I used this, basically used this as a former. So I put that piece down and then I followed the edges, placed each individual beam down and shaped it round to follow the edge of that to get that nice curve. And obviously you only have to do it. It looks like it's kind of pretty complicated, but it's really not. Like you only make one of these and you group it together with the sticks and then you just copy it round. So I think that turned out pretty well. I then did this thing inside, which I'm never really sure whether I've 100% liked. But the whole point of this project was supposed to be that it felt like it was almost like an old building, like a 70s build, something built in the 1970s, that they just kind of updated as they went through. So you'll notice there's nowhere in the dome where we actually use the soil. There's nowhere we use the ground texture. It's all just concrete with like mulch on top of it. So the whole point of that was supposed to be that the whole of the inside of the dome is all just poured concrete, and they build the habitats on top of it. So even though we've got a tree there, that tree is actually kind of supposed to be like a fake tree, and it's not really supposed to be growing in the dirt. It's sitting on top of this concrete. And that was the idea of doing this kind of painting everything green, and working from there. So I don't know, what do you guys think about this? I'm not sure whether I like the bits of it, and I definitely like the busyness of the monkeys, but I'm never really sure whether I kind of 100% decided I like this green concrete thing. These were an absolute pain as well, because these bloody monkeys escape all the time. They do a thing where they glitch through and climb on the outer structure. They're hiding from the humans. Yeah, they do tend to hide from the humans, but that was kind of the point of have plenty of them, and they'll always kind of be on show. And then obviously we did the tunnels thing. So this, I hadn't seen anything when I did the tunnels. I hadn't seen anybody do tunnels quite like this. I think the lay designer did a tunnel, an overpass for lions fairly early on, but it was quite big, and the part of the reason, and I think I talked about this in the Jaguar episode, the monkeys kind of end up feeling like they're a bit dwarfed by the tunnel. So for me, I always wanted something that felt more like it was, like it felt like it was that you were inside the habitat with the monkeys. Now this is pretty simple to do. It's a lot more simple than most people think this is. It's actually, all you have to do is, if we just go to the habitat and we grab, I see a whole load of people running. That usually means there's a jaguar escaped, which is it's a bit worrying. We'll pause there for a sec because they're all going to lag me out. Something chronic. So all you have to do is have the barrier go across the path into the backstage. So that was all this was really. It was a big habitat. We'll go in and look at the backstage area. There's a lot of monkeys in here, so there's always a lot of poo. I wanted it to feel like it was kind of immersive, and that you come through the habitat, and the guests are kind of in the habitat rather than just watching from the outside. Problem you get with that is, obviously in the game you can only have staff come through one gate. So I always then knew I'd have the problem where if you do this sort of thing with a tunnel, you end up with no way for him or her to get into this section. And that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a problem. Like if you were playing this in franchise, maybe you'd get stuff where it was kind of telling you that there was too much poo everywhere, and that there was too much kind of unhygienic stuff going on. Hey, Mrs. T-Rex, how you doing? Awesome name, by the way. Welcome to the stream. So we're just chatting through the monkey habitat at the moment. What they maybe would do in Sandbox would be that although actually when you look, there isn't very much poo in here. In fact, there's very little poo in here. So what you need in order to get one of these tunnels to work is, obviously you need the actual structure. You need to make sure the hitbox of the monkey is small enough to get through the tunnel, but you also need to make sure there's a reason. Bottom right says year 307. Yeah, probably right. That is probably right. In fact, it is. Yeah, 307. Hey, Bongo. How you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. So what you end up with is you have to give them a reason to move across the tunnel. Otherwise, they'll just kind of congregate. It's pretty simple. You just basically do everywhere that you've got feeding. So if you look, all of my feeding stuff is on this side of the tunnel. So my water and my food is all on this side of the tunnel. Yeah, exactly. Poo management. It's all about poo management though, right? This is the whole key to the game. These annoying animals that we have to put up with are critical. So if you make sure that you have enrichment on one side and all their climbing, so all their climbing interest is over here, and then all of their kind of necessities over here, does obviously mean you end up with not being able to like have the guests see them feed and stuff, but that's part of the compromise, I think. And I think it worked out really well because they do use these tunnels. Let's let all these guys flee, and then we'll go and find out what they're fleeing from in a minute. Hey Zekin, cheers dude, thanks for popping in. Actually a little busy. That's cool, man, no worries. We are going to finish a little bits of it today, Bongo. But yeah, basically it's finished. It looks like the paths have rebuilt and I've ended up with Jaguars escaping. But so we're going to do a tour round, and then we'll probably kind of, as we get a bit further into the stream, I might do some work and actually do some building. But it's basically finished. So yeah, monkeys do use this all the time, which is super cool. And then I added the second one in for no really reason other than having another tunnel, because I don't think I've ever actually seen them do this, but the idea of the fact I like these little playful ideas of there's an umbrella, a little sign that warns you in case you get pooped on by a monkey. I love the sounds as well. That's one of the things I really love. So yeah, that was the second one. And then when I added this one, it was, this was glitchy as heck when I did this. But this is definitely ended up being one of my favourite spots in the zoo, because they use this bridge, or they probably won't use it today while we're watching. They use this bridge over to the island all the time. I guess actually probably should say one of the governing, what a ninja, what a boss. One of the governing ideas of this whole project was that I wanted to make sure that none of the habitats felt like they were just like square boxes. I wanted them all to feel like they were like immersive organic shapes, and that actually almost felt like you were in more than one animal's domain at the same time. So like this sort of stuff was really important. Being able to see the anteater in the background there and having the monkeys run across the front, and then just over there you've got the jaguars. So like rather than just having one view spot, just have it feel like you're in this whole great big tropical biome the whole time. Right, so let's go. I think we'll go round to the right because that was the way I built. I also did loads of work to sink things into the floor like these. Everywhere there's these little music boxes playing music and the ambient sounds, which is why if I shut up for a second, it all feels more like you've got the kind of bird sounds and stuff. I'm just aware of my little floating flying saucer up there, but ignore that, guys. We'll carry on. Oh, there's a monkey. So this isn't my fault. This happens occasionally. This happens occasionally that they just glitch through. Like that guy just ran straight through that wall. We just saw him do it. Happens occasionally enough for me to not really care. Unfortunately, the game rebuilds the path thing every now and again. And when they do that, we tend to have escapees. Someone's come and sorted out. So we'll go around this way and then we'll come back and do some of the backstage. That is who made that water fountain? I can't remember the name now. You know, it's good when you'd love to visit. I know that's cool. Thank you very much, Bongo, for saying that. It's very kind of you, dude. That's kind of always been I think I played more for me. I built it more for me than I did for anybody else. So yeah, that's annoying. Oh, it's pond shrimp. They're pond shrimps water fountains. That's not a Zekin thing. That is a Eben thing. That I need to finish. So yeah, there are two or three things that I think were repeated patterns governing principles for this whole project. That I wanted everything to feel really organic, but sort of semi-real and old-fashioned in a way, like it was something that had been built on. I wanted education to be a really big thing, and sort of interactivity. So this we might do some more of today actually, but this was the first of these. So this is can you? Obviously, it would be awesome if actually guests interacted with these sorts of things, but obviously they don't. This was supposed to be you stand in the middle, monkeys can jump 3 meters, or the capuchins can jump 3 meters. So you have to challenge yourself to see how far out you can jump. So that was kind of the idea of that. Just for funsies, really, for no real point. Anything other than just thought it'd be fun to do. This was the second window. Oh, hello, just chilling. That's evil monkey. It's got a thing pointing at it. They're having a meeting in there. Look at them. They're definitely up to no good. They're planning their escape. These things work really well when you've got loads of them as well, and obviously having things like the capuchins actually work really well with big numbers. So let's carry on a bit further down. Yeah, so this was just little details that mattered to me. But I know some people don't really care about this sort of stuff, and I think sometimes you get comments of people sort of saying, why have you bothered doing that, because it's like a waste of a piece count and stuff. But for me, I actually kind of care more about the details and things looking cool. Like, so this whole thing, utterly pointless. No one ever interacts with it. No one ever looks in there. I desperately tried sinking in like the TVs and things. There's TVs buried in here. No one ever looks. None of the guests ever look. The only time I've ever had them look was when I placed them down to get a screenshot. Again, these are like really cool mods. Not mods. Oh, they are actually looking. Contrary. How contrary? I don't know what they were looking at, but they were looking at something. These screens probably need to be turned off. Someone immediately told me straight away in the comments, you do realise that they're upside down snakes. I was like, yeah, but there were no parrots. So it was upside down snakes or nothing. Thank you, T-Rex. I think it does look good. And until we get... I mean, there's been so many people make awesome aviaries in the game. And, like, this is not by any means the best, but... Unfortunately, a lot of people walk past striped birds in real life. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because I think they... I mean, I would have loved to have this whole thing just be like birds in here, just flying around, and them not need to have cages and things. But I didn't really end up kind of working on that, and none of the stuff that's like the peafowl and anything kind of works in this biome, or I wanted to use. Hey Dennis, how you doing, man? So this was the next. I think this was the. No, we didn't do this next, but we'll stop here and we'll look. So yeah, I think actually one of the first screenshots I shared on Bro Nation and a bunch of other places was the poured concrete waterways. So for a while I had in here just like a big river of concrete running through the whole thing. And this was again supposed to be like 1970s build. It's all kind of just poured concrete, and almost like the challenge of how you make that look organic was part of the thing that inspired me to work on it more. Because when I put it all in, obviously this is all like a lot of pieces of concrete all around the edge to create this former, and then just the floor and all that sort of thing. But actually that kind of made it, it gave me a challenge that I really enjoyed, because I wanted to make it make sense but feel like it was lush enough. So I didn't want to just pot plants in the water. These were the only exceptions I made. I wanted it to feel like it could actually function as a like a real zoo. So like, for example, we have a little gate here and we've got some steps down there, and then there's like a filtration system, and then there's supposed to be like a filtration system and more there. And so the idea is that you could drain the whole thing. And then we've got manatee, well, what is supposed to be a manatee, but you're doing yard work today, Dennis. You're not right now, dude. You're procrastinating and watching my stream, which is, I'd obviously much rather you do, but don't blame me if you get in trouble. So yeah, sort of the that gap between like it looking real but still looking nice enough. So again, one of the things was like, how do I break up the edges and make it look like it's not just this great big poured concrete thing, but it's soft enough to kind of make sense and work. So these were like these little divided beds were the sort of moment of inspiration for that. I've got some bits where there's like roots and stuff hanging over, but the idea was that obviously if you had animals actually in the water, you didn't want them eating all the fauna. You didn't want them eating all the sort of nice foliage you'd put in there. They obviously really could, because they could just kind of reach over. But this was the point of doing this, was like, okay, break up the edges. But again, that thing with them feeling like the habitats were organic, and this was like a real place where it wasn't like big fences and stuff, led to things like this. So I know these aren't real habitats, but the idea was that like the manatee can't get in with the tapirs because there's this kind of floating fence sort of blocking the two of them off. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. We'll carry on. We'll go back round to the tapirs in a bit, but we'll go this way. I don't think there's much else to see in the birds. Yeah, we're obviously under the dome the whole time. Yeah, I think this was episode 3, I want to say. This was nuts. This took a long time. This single thing probably took a reasonable portion of time. Actually, I think it probably took me as long to build that as it did to build the actual structure of the dome. Not that specific thing, but this grotto. So again, I wanted it to feel like it was like, the idea of this was that you're down in the rainforest, so almost like you were walking through kind of the such a sort of thick, lush undergrowth that you got kind of immersed in this weird thing. I actually built this. If you haven't seen this episode, I built this mostly out of rocks. It's kind of hidden now, but if we like grab a section of this is going to work. This is going to work terribly. Let's just pull this out for a sec. So my groups are all messed up, but it doesn't really matter. But I think what I did, yeah, so these, I think what I did was actually build the structure out of stone. So that's 208 pieces. Let's just peel some of this away. Man, it's so many layers. But yeah, so there's stone. So I actually built the rock, like the former first. Is that going to go back yet? To give me the shape. And then I basically just layered on layers and layers and layers on top of it to get it kind of looking lush. I've used these actually. They're one of my favourite. I'll find this piece for you guys. The crowberry brush, I've used that so many times in this dome for all sorts of things. So like if you just do stuff like this, if you just sink it right down in, that's not the greatest example, but it looks quite like moss or just kind of foliage growing over a rock. So there's a lot of that, and all the trees, a lot of the trees are covered in that as well. Get rid of you. So this was, all small animal exhibits. Backstage door there, little camera on that one. That one goes through, I think, to a staff room. And then access into the back of the birds there. I don't think I showed that actually on the video, I probably didn't. Let's jump, I want to jump back into Tedge's cam, I think, because I feel like I'm a little bit swingy with my cam. So let's just do this. Yoink. Thanks, Dennis. Get rid of you. So we'll just zoom back round there again. Oh yeah, so that was another thing as well. This was like obsessive levels of detail that I probably didn't really need to do. But I didn't want... I have had a few questions where I've been asked, why have you used the same rock everywhere? And it wasn't an accident, it was deliberate. So I like this rock a lot. And the reason why I used it is because it looks the most to me like a fiberglass rock, like a staging rock. And a lot of the rocks that are actually in the game look too much like rocks. So I can't imagine that a zoo would ever put actual rocks down for all of this. Like it would all be like fake rock. And there's only this single piece that comes in that. It's in the temple pack, or in the South American pack. Sorry, in the one of the temple pieces, temple rock. I think it's called. So the point was to make it look like fake rock had been used everywhere. So in order to, and this again, as I said, doesn't really actually make sense, really, like visually. But if you look behind here, nowhere have we got the structure actually touching these flower beds. So these flower beds are all built out with these great big sleepers to never touch the side of the structure. So they're supposed to look like they're just, like, obviously from this side you kind of feel like you're immersed down in the pathway, but yeah, they're actually just like basically big pots. So floating a miracle leaf there. Yeah, and so one of the ideas why I did this with the rocks again was to be like immersive, and that you felt like you were down inside the habitats. So yeah, there's things like these have got like a steel girder inside them, stuff that you'd never see. But for me and my sort of sixth sense of wanting it to be sort of sensible, semi-sensible, makes sense. That was obviously important in my brain. So yeah, carrying on through the grotto. Yeah, like this was a nice little view. Obviously, I hadn't created this habitat when I made the grotto, so there wasn't really planning. Like I don't really plan. Like Paul's lead, for example, and I think a few other people really plan and do drawings and stuff, and I think that probably works really well for them, but doesn't really work for me. I generally think my building style is better when I just kind of do it and let it organically happen. Like I think it would be very difficult for me to draw this out on a piece of paper, and if I had done it would have felt more blocky. And I think for me, like the approach, and maybe I'll do that in the future, but the approach that I wanted in here was it for all to feel kind of organic. So yeah, this was the next thing. I nicked this off of Just Goron. This is based on his beehive. I think it's a bee. No, it's an inside. Is it a beehive? I think it's called a beehive on the workshop. But it's more like an insect hotel for me. You know, you see those insect hotels in like parks and things. So I use that. Basically, it's like a cross section. There's always like little bits of cross sections of sticks and things, and the insect, to give the insects a place to hang out and live. So what I did was I just cut off. I pretty much just used the face of the thing that he created, sunk it into the floor, and then added a bunch of other bits and pieces and details in there. And it's supposed to be like it's a view down onto looking at what the floor of the forest would look like, or floor of the jungle. And I said at the time in the video, it wasn't deliberate, but I actually left it as a happy accident. Usually you spend an enormous amount of time getting rid of all the Z fighting, so it doesn't do that. Hopefully you can see that on the stream. But in this instance, I was like, it feels to me a little bit like insects running around down there. Like there's so many thousands of little creepy crawlies running around that the floor almost looks like it moves. So that was the idea of that. And again, this was like, this little indicator was supposed to be my my sort of indication of education. This was an educational area. I really like this bit. I have to say, this is probably one of my favourite bits, even if I do say myself. But yeah, there's like, obviously there's tons of stuff in here. I've got, because I'm playing on Sandbox, I've got all of the animal welfare stuff turned off, so you never have to worry about overcrowding and things. So we've got, I don't know how many we've got in there, but we've got lots of snakes in there, for example, in order to get it to kind of look lush, and to have them kind of plenty in there and them visible. Obviously I'm cutting a lot of the tank off, so it was kind of key to make sure that I could just have as many as I want in there. So yeah, I think that turned out pretty cool. Obviously it annoys the heck out of me, the fact that they do things like that and they walk through the stuff. And I've tried really hard actually in a lot of places to make it so the paths don't let them do that, but yeah, it is what it is, and you can't stop them too much. I would personally almost rather not have the guests in here. Maybe I'll make that as a future project, some crazy kind of manor, rich person's manor. Maybe I'll make it like Michael Jackson's zoo or something as a project. We don't actually have to have any guests in here, because I did stuff like this. So this is a spiral staircase. The guests never use it because obviously there's no path. But for us, like, we can go up here and enjoy the peace and quiet of being away from the guests and get like new views down on our tapirs. So I think this was, I can't actually remember what episode this was, but this was maybe a couple of different episodes getting this tapir enclosure. So this was again the same thing, like no soil in this habitat, no actual terrain in this habitat. This is all concrete with stuff put on top of it, because that just felt more real to me than actually saying that the ground would be inside the dome. So if I just kind of, so it gets a bit glitchy up here, but this is supposed to be like almost supposed to be like a little VIP hangout viewing area, and there's a couple of these. And this again, this sort of idea that there were like places where you weren't ever looking just at one animal, because this is always supposed to feel like it's organic and that everything's sort of blended together. So if you look at that view, for example, we've got the tapirs, we've got the manatees. If we look over that way, we've got the anteaters. We could probably see the jaguars in the background there. And then if it lets me move down this way, I can just about, can't see them at the moment, but you would be able to see the monkeys running around over there as well. So that was kind of, again, part of that like immersive thing, was to feel like it was always blending together and that you never just were, I never wanted it to feel like it was just look at one animal. And I played around loads with these ideas of lots of places to look at the animals as well. So this was actually one of my, I mean, I never used this, but I had this idea of like sticky fingers. This was the inspiration. I don't know why I got this, but the inspiration of this was like kids with sticky fingers on glass, and how much of a nightmare that would be for the keepers and the cleaners and stuff. So this was supposed to be like these domed glass pieces. I thought were perfect because little kids leaning over, looking down into the bedding area of the tapirs with their sticky fingerprints all over this glass. That was the idea of that. So let's carry on. And all of this stuff is all like, I'll show you the night time at some point. Yeah, like these little things just gave me great pleasure, making sure that the young palms supported by sort of some growing things. And this one's leant over too much, so they've put something to support it, all those sorts of stuff. So let's go back down here. I think there was another spiral staircase on the workshop, but I'm pretty happy with the way that one turned out. It's obviously a weird combination of pieces. Gets a bit tight and squishy in here, but I kind of like that. So this is again like another spot. So we've actually got 3 or 4 spots to view into the tapirs. Yeah, that's a nightmare. Yeah. Sticky fingers on glass. It's I'm sure it's a nightmare for zookeepers. So yeah, it's a pretty simple little view there, like the river thing. Again, all of the waterways were linked together. So when I did this bit up here, I had a bit of a problem because I was like, okay, I've kind of broken my rule now because I've blocked off the waterway. It was very narrow here. So I just kind of did this, idea that water was still moving round. So let's carry on past the cockroaches. Any disgusting cockroaches on the show? Yeah, there's a few. This was a fun project as well. Again, I have no idea what episode this was because I've got a terrible memory. 10 things about tapirs. I can't really remember why I did this. And again, it's a completely pointless exercise. They don't even interact or look at these ever. But these are all real facts. So I had quite a lot of fun. Entertain myself was the key. I think in most of my videos and most of my content, if I can entertain myself first, hopefully there'll be some other people in the world who find it vaguely entertaining. If you don't, I'm sorry. Just the way it is. So the first one, what was the first one? Maybe it was actually that. So I was doing a little bit of research on tapirs, and the first thing I found out was that actually tapir means thick. It's not Brazilian, but it's the native, whatever a native Brazilian language was. I can't remember the name of the language. I just thought that fit them so perfectly, because they are kind of thick boys of the jungle. So then that was the inspiration, and that was the like, okay, so let's go to town with this. Again, kind of wanting those like interactive, educational bits, pointless but fun. Thank you, T-Rex. That's awesome. Thank you very much. So 20 million years old. So they are thought to be one of the oldest living mammals on the planet, which is super cool. I didn't know that, and I actually got educated by making this episode. So yeah, it was like they're 20 million years old, thought to be really, really primitive mammals, and weirdly kind of more horse than pig, which is odd when you look at them. They've obviously got more like a sort of snouty structure, but yeah, more horse than pig, more closely related to horses. So just did a little like, I don't really know what that is supposed to be. It's sort of half horse, half pig, maybe sort of tapir looking. Looks a bit like a deer, I guess, but never mind. What can you do with the pieces? They also have this weird thing where they have, and I've never checked this actually. I should check this in the game, see if you can see. But they have their front feet have 3 toes, and their back feet have 4 toes, and that's quite unusual apparently. Just that was an interesting little fact. So yeah, it was just again like, I guess I kind of RP when I play a little bit, because I kind of go, I'm trying to imagine little kids and guests and things walking through here and looking at these. Actually, these were a bit of a pain to make, to be honest. Hey Moonlight, how you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. Just lots of layers, and again, like completely pointless levels of details. Like this is all supported. It's all got a little like, so you can't just push it over. It's got structure. Oh dear, why did I do it to myself? I know why I did it to myself, because I took great joy in it, and that's part of the. I think I struggled slightly in the franchise zoo. Expressive Picasso. Oh dear, I wish. Yeah, it does look like a modern interpretation, right? Hey Fane, I hope that's how you say. I'm going to say your name, Fane Fenerial. Sorry if I've massacred your name. And then next one was personal snorkel. So again, like obviously everybody knows they've got this little trunk thing, and they are quite timid in the wild, so they hide underwater. That will lead us to one of the other education boards. But they use that trunk a bit like an elephant would, I guess. But they can actually hide underwater and stick the top of their trunks out and breathe. So again, just thought these would be like cool little things if you're a kid walking around in this zoo and your mum and dad were explaining what these things were, and just like nice little space fillers, because sometimes like the zoos just end up looking a bit sterile, I think. So I wanted all of this sort of stuff in here. Twilight fans, so they come out mostly in the dawn and the dusk. This is a cool thing, interesting one, but I hadn't really realised that this is why they have it. But the calves, obviously, if we go back and have a quick look at them, the calf, as everybody will know, has like a different coloration than the adults do, and it's a camo thing. Apparently it's like an evolution. They evolved with camouflage for the children, and the younger, the more camouflage the babies were, the more likely they were to survive in the wild and stuff. So that's why they got that, which is kind of cool. Give it a little whistle. They obviously have that's really sweet little whistling noise that they make, which is really unusual for animals. sort of strange. You wouldn't expect them to make that noise. Oh, that's Anteaters. You wouldn't expect them to make that noise. They're veggies. They don't eat meat at all. And this was the weirdest one. So because they're quite timid and because they get hunted in the wild, I'm not really sure what hunts them. Maybe the Jaguars hunt them. But they swim into the water and will quite often poo in the water in order to not leave scent out on the land. So rather than leaving kind of doing their business in a bush, they'll swim into the water and leave their business in there. So let's go through. So this has got a little thing, a little staff only dealie, and this is underneath where we were a minute ago. This is backstage, obviously, so it's just happy for this to look fairly utilitarian and plain and stuff. And then so we go around here. This was a lot of fun, actually. So I wanted this because this whole centerpiece is an island. I didn't want lots of places where I had to have a bridge across the water because it's quite small. So I didn't want to have another bridge across here. So what I did was just use the same habitat for both the tapirs and the anteaters, but I just separated them up using the space that they were allowed to use, basically. So if I just look at this guy, let's just go out of that a second and look at his traversable area. So they're in the same habitat here, but he can't get through. Oh, where have we gone? He can't get through this gap, and nor can the adult anteater. So what that ends up really meaning is that the keeper's got a smaller hitbox than both the anteater and the adult tapir. So the keeper can quite happily come through that gate and clean and feed both of these animals independently and not have to go into the same, them not have to interact with each other. You do actually get the infants will move between. He is small enough to go through, but actually he doesn't spend a lot of time in there. So that was kind of a neat way of getting round not having to have loads of gates. So basically all of that anteater habitat and all of this tapir habitat are all the same area. And again, yeah, so we've got this whole thing of kind of no soil. This is all just hay, and oh my god, that's many pieces, but don't look at that too much. And then yeah, this was my initial idea, was to have a door through. So this door goes through into the anteater habitat. Obviously they don't actually use that, but it felt like it was going to be what I was going to do was have it so that they were actually two separate habitats. But when I did that, I realised that the sight line from over here would mean that door was really obvious. So I had to keep it really narrow, and I didn't want people to be able to look and notice that, which is why there's like a strategically placed enrichment item there to separate them up. So yeah, tapirs I really like. In fact, the tapirs have got quite a cool habitat. Can't fault it. Thanks very much, Bongo. So if we go do a right. So some of this stuff is like in here is just like random ideas. I do this all the time. I'll just look at something and be like, okay, how can I use that? That looks like it could be like, I've seen, Eben talked about this in his most recent video, where he basically said, look at the textures of the thing rather than the purpose of that object. So that's actually like a flooring piece, I think. But in this case, it kind of makes sense for me as like a retaining basket for bedding for plants and stuff. Yeah, and again, that idea of like things being immersive. So I don't want obstructive walls and stuff. So I don't want too many places where we can't see through. So these guys here we'll be able to see the movement of monkeys and things on the back ropes and stuff there, which was kind of important for me. That camera's probably a bit massive for that. I'd love to see that sort of thing actually added to the game, because if you think about it, most of the time they're probably in a zoo, they're probably looking at an animal in a camera quite often, almost like a parent has a kind of little camera in their child's room. I'm sort of imagining they're quite often keeping an eye on an animal inside its habitat. We've only really got these massive cameras. There's a few cameras on the workshop, which I could have used, but I think at the time there wasn't really very many of those, so I used this. We have a gate, so this can be closed in theory. I think those are Domez's gates that I've adapted, Mr. Domez's gates. And then this is just supposed to be like a pull gate that you pull across and close. So if we go into the Anteaters, again, didn't want a big fence. So this was a bit of a trick actually that I learned that works for quite a few animals. I don't think it works for every animal, but the Anteaters are not naturally going to swim, so they don't have a reason to go into the water, but they will go into the water in order to escape the habitat. But it seems that they won't jump over something in order to go and escape. So I think it's actually to do with the drop. So because it almost like it's too steep, that angle is too steep, and so they see it as not being traversable. So this is a null barrier here, all the way along here, because this is actually on the other side of this water. We don't have any in there at the moment. Let's see if we unpause it. Oh crap! 1 second, guys. Let me get back in there. But that bit of water there is actually crocodiles, crocodile habitat. There's our lovely little whistle from the tapirs. So again, yeah, that idea of like layering within the habitat, but layering within with outside of the habitats as well. So we've got, they don't come down here very often. Here comes one. So I put this enrichment item down there to encourage them to move along this way. In fact, let's pause that again because it's getting a bit framey. So yeah, and then I think the only problem I had with that was then the guests are actually quite far away from the tapirs. So the gap that you have, I wanted to make sure there was something going on here that would kind of bring them to look. So I wasn't sure whether they'd look at that enough. So this is pretty similar. This one's actually pretty similar. They've got this kind of rock divide using, I guess it gets a bit more organic now because I'm not just using that rock piece, I'm using some of the other rubble pieces sort of sunk in. And then, yeah, our Anteaters, so they've got this kind of raised, because they're quite far away, I wanted to make sure I'm maximising the amount of space. In quite a few cases, I've not made the habitats actually as big as they should be. Technically, they should be kind of bigger. I'm not sure the game actually registers when you've got like layering going on though. So yeah, they've got all of that traversable area, and then they've got this bit on top and the bit below. So I'm not sure it counts that, or whether it just counts the whole. I'm not sure it counts the surface area. I think it just counts the whole kind of perimeter wall, if that makes sense. So these guys have got a ramp up to this area, and again, the reason why I did that was so they'd be visible from over there, and they'd also be visible from over there and over there. So again, we get this layering thing where we've got like, technically when I'm looking through at the monkeys, I can see the Anteaters in the background. And those guys are quite cool actually. I quite like the Anteaters, probably one of my faves. Cool models, cute as heck. So let's jump back over. Oh yeah, and so this was the start of this island, really. These two habitats. We just zoom up a bit, so you'll see this centerpiece is an island, and the only place where a keeper comes onto it is over here. underneath this little bit here, basically, through that structure. So we've got 3 habitats all on this island being serviced only by one keeper access. So these guys obviously both the keepers can get access through that side and that side. By the time I got to this stage, I was like, I don't want to just do the same thing. I don't want to just create another habitat that looks exactly the same. So I started to introduce the temple. So this is supposed to be the outskirts of the temple that ends up all the way over there, which is where the Jaguars are held. I kind of knew that the Jaguars were always going to be like the centerpiece. So let's go back over here for another little kind of flight of pointlessness. Leaf cut. I think it was just a sick idea, really. I thought it'd be fun to have the ants on one side of the water and the Anteaters on the other side. And there is no ant, is there? There's no ant in the... I'm going to go back and grab a Tegid can, but there's no ants in the small animal exhibits. So I thought, well, I'll use that enrichment item. Excuse me as we zerp through the side of the world. I'll use the enrichment item, which is an anthill, and can I make it convincingly look like it's kind of actually an exhibit? Now, I had seen something at London Zoo ages ago, which was kind of this, that the ants come out and walk along a rope in front of the guests, and actually if you were a naughty little kid, you could put your hand into where the ants are crawling around and get ants on you, and there was sort of signs up saying the ants bite and all that sort of stuff. So the idea of this is supposed to be, and this was my first kind of random little I'm not really sure if I like it now, but this was supposed to be, I think his name is Charlie Ant. It was an old cartoon that I used to watch as a kid. That was it was actually an aardvark versus an ant. It was a cartoon. I think they were French. And that's again a little bit of education stuff. Like, they don't actually eat the leaves. They're called leafcutter ants, and you see them in the jungles carrying the leaves and stuff. But they don't actually eat them. They put them into their mounds or their habitats, and it's the breaking down of the leaf that like feeds a bacteria that they then feed to their larvae. So it's kind of a cool little kind of like almost like little micro world, microcosm in that thing. So yeah, we better just carrying on. Really, this is just about passaging through, I guess. But if we carry on down this way, so the ants are supposed to come out from there, crawl along the rope, go down into this thing. Oh, the guests are actually look like they're looking, but they're not. They're looking at the Jaguars over there. Little signs up saying, "Don't put your hands in, kids, because they'll get bit." And then they're supposed to crawl along this rope and down into this one as well. And there's a bit of fruit there. So again, a little bit of RP going on, but thinking in my head, it would be nice to be able to see like kids and the guests being able to see like ants walking along this leaf and then making their way back into their ant hill. And then just in a sort of sick juxtaposition between ants and anteaters. Obviously there's the anteaters in there still. So if we move a little bit further down, again, this was like I think again just an accident. Like I stumbled across looking up a little bit of information about the ants and thinking, what could I do that would look cool here? I've always been slightly fascinated by the fact that they carry such weight anyway. And actually, the largest of the leafcutter ants that we see in the jungle can apparently carry 50 times their body weight. So this is supposed to be an indication of if you were what that would look like for a human. Basically saying, like you'd have to be able to lift a truck if you were a human or a jeep. So that was the idea of that. So a bit more education. We've got a little seating area there. this was a lot of fun, this episode. Not lots of people watched it because I don't think it's particularly something that people are looking for, because it's, ants don't exist in the game. So just some education boards. Carrying on a bit further. So that's the end of that section. Now we're getting into the Jags. So there's our crocodiles. So I had to separate. So the reason they're baby crocodiles as well is that in my head these are Cayman. Cayman crocodiles are smaller. They're not quite as small as these babies are, but this was the only way I could kind of do this. Like, there's no South American crocs in the pack or in the game, so nothing that really kind of worked. So I thought I'd just kind of I wanted something in the water. I'd already done the tapirs. There isn't really anything else in the pack that works in the water, and I've got all this water in here, so I thought I'd do this. I think actually in the real zoo in Paris, they just have the whole thing turned over to the manatees, and the manatees swim around in the whole bit. So we're going to carry on down this way. Not massively happy with these, but they were a bit of a space filler. Red belly piranha, they're too big, but this is actually, again, this is another piece of stuff off of the workshop, but you can't really get small enough pieces. The game doesn't have small enough pieces for us to make anything that would work in there. I also sort of, a little bit in the back of my head, always thought at some point maybe I'll replace some of this stuff with, like, if they add fish into the game, maybe I'll add fish in there at some point. So a little bit more backstage. Again, just like cut and pasted that, really. And then this is the exit. So in the real zoo, this is an exit out to a penguin habitat just outside the gate there, or that door there. So yeah, reusing, like, I think the thing with doing a whole zoo versus doing something like this is that you can kind of reuse stuff quite easily. Hey Trudon, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. So you want stuff that makes it kind of feel like it's one big cohesive thing. So this was just like, we're in this starting to get into this ruined temple bit. So I thought I'd reuse this same design of sort of curved wall that I used over with the monkeys, but just to give it a slight difference, just to give it like almost feel like it's ruined, part of the ruin, just have it sort of collapse in there. And this whole section, I think I did this quite a lot actually in the whole dome, was lots of little bits that are like unconventional ways of viewing. I've seen this in quite a few pictures of actual zoos, and I've seen this in zoos that I've been to. A lot of the more modern zoos don't just use... It's almost like it's not that easy to see the animals. They do that for a few reasons. I think they do it partly in order to make it feel more kind of interactive and immersive for the guests, but also to stop the animals have to be like gawped at everywhere, to give them a bit of privacy. So like there's loads of these little bits throughout the dome that are like little tiny views on something. This happens probably more in the Jaguar section than it happens anywhere else, but this was probably the first bit of that. So like it wasn't, I deliberately made it so that was really low, because I thought, it'd be quite fun for little kids to be able to kind of be down looking in through that view, down at kind of face level with the crocodiles. And again, this is another, we'll just kind of zerp through there, but this is another really like organically shaped, there's no square boxes in any of this, or on any of the guest side facing stuff. Quite a lot of stuff in the backstage is square boxes. So we've got the tunnel coming down there. So again, this is like, going back to that idea of like layering. So if you're here, you can see the crocs coming up to get fed, and you can also see Jaguars going up and down. In fact, let's unpause and see what we get. You can see you'll see some stinky rotten meat. Thank you. Good, right on time. Well paid staff. you'll see the jaguars coming up and down. That glass section actually goes into another bit of the jaguar habitat. We've got a jaguar in there, yeah, we have, just chilling. So obviously that would be really rubbish if that were the only place you could see the jaguars. But it's supposed to almost be like a teaser. So if you're here looking at the crocodiles, you're like, oh, that's the jaguars in the background. So you want to get round to the jaguars. So there's one going up the tunnel there. In fact, let's go around and catch him in the tunnel. There he goes. So I think I said this in that jaguar episode. I said I wanted it to deliberately feel like it was difficult to see them. Sounds a bit counterintuitive, but because they're all like broken up habitats and separated sections, for me that kind of made sense that kids and guests would want to quickly run round. I mean, exactly what these guys are doing. Run round to where they actually get a better view. Where are you going? Why are you going out there? There's nothing out there, peeps. Come back. So yeah, next bit. I did a bunch of these. I started to do more of this actually when I got round to this area. More of these like custom education boards. It does annoy me that they do that. There's nothing you can see there. Yeah, baby crocodiles for the Caymans. So they're saltwater crocodiles, and I'm playing Sandbox, so I've got the aging turned off. Hopefully at some point we'll get Cayman crocodiles, but maybe we won't. I thought that was the best way to tackle it. So another little bit of guest refreshment. I guess I haven't really talked about the pathing, have I? But the pathing all the way through the zoo, or all the way through the dome, I guess it's not really a zoo. I probably did this in the previous builds as well, in the franchise. I wanted it to make, again, to like feel organic. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have anywhere that they were like just straightforward paths. And the game obviously doesn't let you do that super easily. So the trick to doing that, again, sort of fits perfectly well with my concrete floor, is that you just hide the paths away. So if we look actually, let's pause it, unpause it a second. And we go into the paths. So it took a long time to get the path to kind of work as best as I could get it. But you'll see there's quite a few spots where the guests can't actually get, but it doesn't really matter because, oh crap, fell out of Tapirs again. Let's go back down there. Fly back down. Yeah, Cayman, the baby crocodiles. Oh, lag. In fact, this is probably viewed better from up here now because it's getting a bit busy. So it feels like it's one big square, but obviously it's not. It's got all the paths broken up and stopped and that sort of thing. This comes back to, again, that thing I said before about the bushes. So this bush is so good at just doing filler. Like, if you look at just that patch, it looks good, but it looks better when you've got a bit of, I think it does, a bit of stuff going through, a bit more detail. So there's loads of this. It's supposed to feel like it's kind of grown in. This is supposed to feel like the much newer part of the dome, and where most of the money's been spent. So if we kind of carry on a little bit further, as I said at the beginning, guys, feel free to ask me anything. If I'm not kind of doing enough of a show, let me know. So if we carry on this way, again, like I don't think there's many places where I've used the actual habitats. I think the habitat walls. I think I've used the null barriers everywhere. Again, this is another spot where I'm like see through the layers. So crocodiles immediately look through to jaguars. Hopefully we don't get any escapees, because we did have some escapees at the beginning of the stream, but we shall see. Again, the little view spot, I think that's spiders in there. Yeah, it is. Spiders in both. And if you missed the Jaguar episode, so let's check out. This is definitely one of my favourite things. The fact that they actually use these, probably I'd say about 90% of the time, they do this correctly. Let's see what he's actually doing. Why is he just standing there? Oh, he's playing with the ball. How you doing? Just chilling. Are you actually... Can you actually move? Yes, you can. Okay, just making sure. Is he going to take that ball all the way back? Right, so if you didn't see me do this, or this episode, this tunnel thing is obviously on the workshop, so you can grab it yourself if you want. But the trick is that the hitbox for an animal is different if it's climbing than if it's walking. So if I didn't have this log here, they wouldn't climb. This is a non-climbable object, this cage, which is made out of fences. It's the individual Planet Zoo fence one. It looks like that. So layers and layers of that. But if you didn't have that, if you just had the fence, they wouldn't walk on it. They would consider that to be not... Well, they would. They would want to walk on it, but they wouldn't climb on it. So the log is obviously a climbable object. And if you have only them... when they're walking, they have a wider hitbox. So, for example, they can't walk through this gap. I know that. But that space, if I put a log going through it, they would climb through that space. It's really odd. And when I came across that, I was like, oh, that makes a massive difference, because actually I can have these really small tunnels where they walk along. So technically I think they're just walking where the guests are. But the guests don't freak out when they go across the tunnel. If you see it's coming across now. Because the guests are in the habitat. The only way to get it is to have them in the habitat. But there's enough of an obstruction because of this fence that the guests don't freak out. Occasionally, very occasionally, and nothing I can really do about this, the Jaguars will just glitch straight through that wall or through the wall on that side. And that's really annoying, but there's nothing really I can do about it. And that's where we saw the freak out at the beginning. I do kind of wish that the climbing animations were a little bit more polished, but I think they're pretty decent. Most of the time they're pretty good. So again, this was the same thing I talked about before. Was like, all you have to do really in order to get them to move across the tunnels is to make it so that, if you think about it, all the animals have like 2 or 3 things they need. They need water, they need sleep, they need food, and they need enrichment. So all you do is make sure that you almost like zone a habitat. Thanks for taking a dump right on stream. So this one, the reason why they come across that last tunnel is because this is the only place they can get water. There's nowhere else that they can get water. If you don't do that, they will still come across it, but they won't come across it very often. They'll just occasionally just kind of wander over. But if you split them up, so you'll see there's nothing really in this habitat. There's no enrichment in this habitat, because if I put enrichment in this habitat, that's the only bit I think, then they wouldn't kind of move over there as often. So I hope that makes sense. And then this was just a transit point really. I had to change this very recently because this was causing me a lot of issues with them escaping. But they come down here quite often. And that's another one of those like layered viewing spots. So crocs in there, jaguars in there. I've not seen a lot of other people do this as well, but quite often it's very, very unusual if you actually go to a zoo and you see one animal, so one type of animal in a single habitat. Usually you'll see more than one pair or group of those animals in multiple habitats. So it's very, very unusual from what I've seen just to have like one enclosed area where there's a jaguar. You'd always see 2 or 3. And it wouldn't necessarily be obvious to the guests that they were separated. But they do that in order to make sure that they can have more than one breeding pair and all those sorts of things. So I did that, and I've done that all the way through the dome. So we've got, this. It feels like it's pretty organic and feels like more than one big kind of area. But this is again, this is all one jaguar habitat. So this over to the island is one. And then this over to this section is another. So again, it's supposed to just feel like, the whole time it's supposed to feel like you're immersed down inside. Let's just grab you, go back into Tajicam. You see that all my staff members are named Tajicam. So let's just kind of carry on through. Yeah, so there's some of my favourite. I think this has probably turned out the best bit of the dome. I think this section. Got custom education board there, and again, this like carries on this idea of the little peaky holes, the little peaky spots. It's not super big. It's just enough of a little spot that they can come and view. So let's carry on round. We're going to end up down there in a minute, but we're going to go back this way for a while. In fact, what we'll do is we'll go all the way around this side. So this was like a... Why did I do this? Oh, I did this because I had the crocodiles. So this is a similar thing to what we said before. The crocodiles, there's 2 habitats for the crocodiles. And in order to make sure that I had one that was kind of backstage, I thought this would be this idea of like a bridge would be kind of fun. So we've just got, we'll go in there in a minute and have a look in there. But we go down here. Again, we've got another layer. So we've got, in fact, this is probably actually the best viewpoint in the whole zoo, because you can see the jaguars over there. Crocs come down in this bit of water. Monkeys running over there, anteaters in the background. Obliging monkey just hanging around on the rope bridge. So let's carry on. So this is another big tunnel bit basically. It's supposed to be that you can kind of, they're not actually any there at the moment, but you see them coming out when they're feeding through that gate. So let's zoom down this way and we'll take a right into this backstage area. So toilets there, backstage area. And then we'll get to the last little bits and we'll do some building, I think. So backstage... so some lockers, just some lockers really for staff and things. That was the idea of that. That's actually, I think that's a door piece. I can't remember how I did that. Yeah. So I wanted the lock. So if you see, that's just the lock of that with a metal piece over the top of it. Thanks, Bongo. No worries, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Hate how PZ jaguars don't live in grasslands, since IRL they do. Oh, do they really? I didn't know that. Yeah, there's quite a lot of that, isn't there, in the game? And I guess you're kind of always a little bit restricted with what you can do. It's the same as the anteaters, because the anteaters don't look to me like the sort of animal that should live in the deep jungles, but maybe they do. I think that's part of the problem that they get themselves into when they get like if you only do a small number of animals in a pack, then you're like a bit stuck. They're trying to sort of cover all biomes. To cover all biomes in South America, I think this happened. A few people talked about this at the time when the DLC came out. It's like, why have a continent as a DLC? Because that means, so is that suggesting this is like we're not going to get any more South American animals? To me, it sort of does, weirdly. Or they're going to come back and top up these packs. Because if we're not getting any more South American animals, there's a hell of a lot they've missed out. I would much rather them seeing them do like rainforest as a pack. Do that more focus on a smaller area. It's different if you do something like Australia, I guess, because Australia you can do a kind of you can focus. But maybe they'll do, I mean, I guess they'll do like South America Pack 2. Because to have like tapirs and not have capybaras and those sorts of things is a bit odd to me. Right, so Backstage. So Backstage was probably as important to me as, I mean, I know it's not in real life, but in the game, the Backstage area is as important to me as the rest of it is. So I wanted to make these feel really kind of full and developed, but still feel quite sterile. Is that guy walking back? Probably. The animations are a bit weird sometimes. South America pack is more like Aztec jungle. Yeah, but it isn't, because the Anteaters are not jungle. They're not really a jungle animal, from what I understand. And if you're gonna do Aztec jungle pack, then you've got to do birds, haven't you? It doesn't seem right to me. I think they should have done. I think they should have done Australia. Maybe that's the next one we'll get. We'll just nip through there while that's open. Thank you. So ignore all the turds everywhere, guys. There's nothing I can do about that. This would also be really cool to see in the game. So you get lots and lots of places in zoos, from what I've seen, and I don't have loads of knowledge other than I watch a few zoo documentaries, where you have the ability to separate animals and divide them up, move them between habitats. Bless these guys, they almost look like they're looking at their reflections. Or they're looking in there longingly at next door neighbours. So these are supposed to be that they can kind of open this gate, bring animals between the two habitats. Oh, okay, I checked here, and Anteaters live in jungles. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I wonder if it's I wonder if they'll change their approach to that, and they'll do it in a more focused way. Because it would be a bit of like, for example, you can't do an Australasia pack, I don't think, without birds. Because New Zealand, so if you go to Australasia, you're basically talking about New Zealand and Australia, right? So you can't have, surely, New Zealand without having kiwis and what are the other birds? Like the other flightless birds, the kokoras and those sorts of things. And then if you don't do that, then it's just Australia. It'd be a real shame if they just put in koalas and kangaroos and all the sort of stereotypical obvious animals. Guess the keepers seem like most of the time they can get up there. Yeah, New Zealand would be an amazing pack, I think, but I don't know if they'll do it, because you've got to have flying birds. Otherwise, you don't really have a lot of places to go. I suppose New Zealand does have quite a lot of non-flying birds. Yeah, you don't. I guess you don't really see loads of zoos with New Zealand animals in them. Hey Benjamin, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. We are in the Backstage tour at the second, and then we're going to be getting to some we're going to get into some building to do some last little bits and pieces. Yeah, so I wanted this always to look utilitarian and kind of industrial, but have enough detail for it to be nice. You know what I would also love as well would be able to have these buildings without any walls. Like, imagine you could just have this stuff, but place it down in an open area. Like to see cranes. I'm guessing you mean the birds, Alison, rather than like the actual cranes. Yeah, more birds. We need birds. It feels like it's got to happen fairly soon. So let's carry on down this corridor. Yeah, I think this was... So I watched a show called... what's it called? Well, there's a couple of shows. There's a show called Inside the Bronx Zoo, which is really cool. Which a lot of the backstage areas of the Bronx Zoo look a bit like this. Yeah, they've got like nothing glamorous about them. They've got like ducts and pipes and things all running down the walls. So that was kind of the idea of this. I'd like to see fish. Yeah, talked about fish a bit earlier. So I've got some rather terrible looking piranhas. Well, they're not terrible, but they're about all you can do with the piranhas. Fish would be awesome. There's nothing you can do that simulates a fish really in the game at the moment. Where did I see this? I think I saw this on a program about Chester Zoo. I'm actually quite happy with the way this turned out. So this is quite normal when you see habitats in zoos that have got water in them. They don't want to have to go into a habitat in order to treat the water or check the quality of the water. So they have like a sort of a bit of the water that comes out, and then they can check it. So this is actually, it's not, but this is supposed to be part of the crocodile section, and the water comes out here, and so there's supposed to be like a pipe running through there. John B, thank you very much, dude. Welcome to the stream. And again, I think this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. So like, I try all the time to use just like, don't look at the thing itself. Like, don't look at the object. It's going to sound really weird, but like that over there is a transformer, but like sunk into the wall. So I only wanted this push button thing. I don't even know what it's supposed to be, but it's supposed to be like I don't know, just a bit of industrial kind of looking stuff. So I sunk it into the wall, and that's the same with this water pump. So I was like, how do I make it look that there's like a pump here? So I created this little pool of water. A lot of it is the context as well. So if you do enough, it kind of makes it look right. Like what's that down there? I can't even remember what that is. It's one of these. It's one of these because I looked at the end piece of that and went, oh, that looks kind of like a pipe, like a funnel. I'm dripping water. I am dripping water. Savannah animals. Yeah, I thought they were savannah animals, Benjamin. I thought they were savannah animals as well. But Trudon looked it up, and apparently they are. Maybe there's different types. Maybe they're different types. But yeah, for me, you can't have like capybara. You can't have a South American pack without having capybara. So yeah, just to get back to this. So that's the water treatment facility sunk into the floor because I didn't want all of that horrible rail. Just wanted this top section. And then the same with a water pipe. And then a little screen, which is actually a lamp, coloured white, and some bits sunk into it to make it look like it's a button, etc. And And the thing is, when you do this, like a lot of you'll see a lot of these things. I've kind of call me Ben or Benjamin. Okay, dude. Thank you very much. I'll call you Ben then because it's a bit easier. Crazy creativity in literally that one corner. Thank you. Yeah, pointless though, right? Utterly pointless. It doesn't do anything, but it was fun to do, and I actually quite liked it. It's funny. I posted the picture of this on Reddit, and people said it. People said it looked like. Oh, we've gone upstairs. Hold on. Oh no, we're stuck in the wall. Hang on, let me find a way down. I've shown you the stuff behind the scenes. Hold on, we're back in the Jaguars now. So let's go back this way. All right, back. It's going to be harder for me to control the camera now. Let's grab you. You'll do. There we go. Yeah, so a lot of these things, like you'll see a repetition of things though, like so a sort of repetition of ideas. So like lighting switches. So there's like lighting trunks and cables and things for these. But then I've used that everywhere. So like it's one idea and then you just kind of do the heck out of it. Just for back area. Still just trying to figure out building buildings for more real feel. I call you Toves. Yeah, well that's my name, dude. Go for it. You never call me Toves Plays. Call me Toves. Yeah, John, it's like if you look at my first videos, like I never really played Planet Coaster, but if you look at my first videos, I wasn't very good at the game, and I don't think I've still got loads to learn. But what I found that I benefited really like a lot in this project was focusing on a smaller area. Like this dome is what, like 5 or 6 different animals, if that. And by doing that, I just got to spend a lot more time. My real name's Phil. I got to spend a lot more time on specific individual bits, rather than feeling like I needed to fill the whole place up. So this is again another one of those little. They do actually just glitch through that, which is fine by me. But this is another one of those bits which is supposed to feel like it's like separated. How many in-game hours do you have overall? Let me have a look. I don't think it's too bad. Let me just check. I think I can do this without losing the stream. I have 863 hours, a lot of which has been on this project. I have to say, a lot of it has been on this project. Yeah, Ben, I'm from the UK, from the south of the UK. So yeah, it's just doing, like it's just layering, it's layering and layering and detailing. But it doesn't work on your PC. Well, that's so one of the reasons why I decided to work on this smaller. So when I first started working on Planet Zoo or playing on Planet Zoo, I tried to build a big zoo, and I really wanted to work. I really wanted it to look realistic and look detailed, but it was such a sort of dauntingly massive project to do that that I ended up with a zoo that really didn't perform very well, and so I think I'm going to carry on playing this way. I think I'm going to carry on just doing smaller things, and not trying to do whole big zoos. So this performs better on my PC. I mean, I've got quite a beefy PC. But if you haven't got a beefy PC, you could just work on just choose one animal and do a really good one of those, and just focus on that. That for me has definitely made me better as a builder. don't obsess about trying to make a whole zoo. Just try and make a cool entrance, and then take it from there. But it is just practice, like everybody says. It's just practice. Too much for the AI. Well, if you play Sandbox, you can turn all of the guests down to like nothing, like 0. You can have the zoo. I mean, built a lot of this without the guests in here. Like, I wouldn't be building with all the guests in usually. I usually turn them off because it just lags the computer out too much. And it doesn't matter how good your PC is, you can't do too much detail. Right, so this is our kind of empty area at the moment, which we might be working on in a minute. We're going to pause these guys because they're doing my nutting and running past me all the time. This was a very recent addition. I think that's like another good tip is like don't ever worry about what the game tells you the thing is for. So like there's an example. Like I've used that. What is the vent cover made from? Vent cover. Stream's a little bit behind for John. So vent covers. Do you mean this? I'll come back to that maybe. But yeah, there's all sorts of, like, everywhere in the zoo or everywhere in this build there are things being used that are not for the purpose of it. Like that's a fence, New World fence. And I didn't look at the name of it at all. I just kind of went, like I usually just kind of go, if I'm building something, I'm pretty much just, I mean, I spend a lot of time scrolling through here because I'm looking like, okay, that's a pot. It might be a pot, but it could also be the bottom of a column. That's just art pieces. There's loads of art pieces involved in that. So this is quite a lot of pieces, but like, so if you just look at the shapes really rather than like what it says they're for, then that gets you to a place where you're creating stuff that is much more custom. But also don't forget there's loads of stuff on the workshop. So like this zoo is there's loads of things in here that I've just gone, oh, someone's already done that, like I don't need to worry. I'm just going to use theirs is better, just lift that. But yeah, again, here's another example of that. Like Planet Zoo, I think, does a really good job of I'm just trying to get, hold on a second, clunky controls. I'm still not very good with the controls. I'm trying to get that. Okay. So actually, in quite a lot of cases, Planet Zoo does a really good job of like layering things and the things kind of glitch together. It doesn't have a name, Ben. It's just called the dome. It's just called the dome. So like that, this is quite a good example of one of those things. It's like when you look at that object in the gallery or in the list, take that down. Carpet. When you first look at it, you're like, oh, that's not the right one. It's that one, I think. No, it's that one. You go, oh, I can't use that as a floor, but it's just testing, seeing, and playing around, and actually interesting enough because it lets you put them all back to the same color, and it also lets you overlap them. You end up with this kind of like that could be a carpet. So that's now a thing I've learned. So everywhere I go, if I want to use carpet, I can just have a carpet, and they've got really nice textures and colors and stuff. So I then like went a bit nuts with this and made it all the way up the stairs as well. Trying to get rid of that bit of blue. Yeah. So let's go up here. So this is the spot. So this is what is supposed to be a bar. It's supposed to be a juice bar, basically. Overlooking the Jags. Excuse me. God, it's very busy up here. There's not even anyone serving. So this is a cool little viewpoint, actually. Quite happy with this. This is, again, a very recent episode. I only made this, I think, in the last episode, I believe. So yeah, I think that's the thing. Don't worry about what the things are for. Just kind of play around, experiment, and overlap stuff. Like, there's nothing here that's been used for what it is. Like, that's a bollard. There's 2 bollards placed on top of each other, sunk into the floor. Those are bins. That's a window. Like, that's a window. That's a switch. It's often the context as well. Like, when you put stuff together, those are supposed to be like cups. When you put stuff together, it kind of, I guess, kind of helps your brain get convinced. Like, those they're a bit too round, but in the kind of context that blender, thanks very much. Yeah, that blender took me a little while, but it's I'm glad you spotted it straight away as a blender. I wasn't sure, but yeah, it's supposed to be a blender, a juicer. It's quite simple. Like, there's not loads of pieces in that. It's basically that bracket, just some bits, like. But you got to be mad enough to spend the time, I guess. That's the thing. But that's, again, it's like, once you've made that, you know how to make it. So if I want to make a bar again, like, I've got a juice bar, I can just save that in my blueprints. Hey, welcome back, Trudon. Yeah, like, most of something happened. No, we're still touring. We're still just touring round. We're looking at the bar now. So yeah, that's definitely the thing I've learned. I would say I've learned most in this project, more than I had understood before. Yeah, so if you look closely, or you get it off of the workshop, everything in this zoo is like not being used for what its point is. Like, these are all fences. Let's go into this jaguar habitat. Let's just turn that off a second. I mean, it does get tricky. Like, some of these things where I've done the walkways and stuff take a bit of patience and fiddling with and things, but I think it comes out all right. So we're going to do some stuff now, because I've been chatting away and touring for ages, and now you're going to see just how awful I actually am at this game, because I'm going to try and do something live on camera. Thanks, Dennis, appreciate it. Even the floor is made of bricks. Yeah. All the floor is like individually placed pieces. And then, like, I think that's so that, like, you can do stuff that makes this easy, right? So if you look, if I get the HUD up again, okay, these are all individual. I'm pretty sure when I did this, what I did was go like that, grabbed a row of them, and then I just dragged them, right? But if you just did that, everything would look really, really similar and wouldn't look very real. So all you have to do is just every now and again, so you look like that one's just slightly out of alignment, just every now and again you just kind of go there, or you get one that's a different colour, and that it doesn't take a lot, but it ends up just with, then things feel a bit more organic. And if you do stuff like, you sink in the ivy, or you sink in the foliage, it kind of brings it together. So I think that's everything we've got in the tour. Oh, we've got a little tunnel here that I don't think I showed you. This little bit never ended up being anything, but it's a little hole back into the jaguar habitat. Second jaguar habitat. How much pre-planning did you do prior to getting into the mini projects? I talked about this earlier, John. So I really don't plan at all. I guess I kind of have an idea of, I mean, if you're doing something like this, right? So basically I started off with the idea of it being about the South America pack. The South America pack had just come out. I wanted it to be about the South America pack. So you kind of know then what you've got animal wise. I knew I had the jaguars were going to be like the focal point. But I don't do, for example, I know other people who are much bigger than I am, like Paulsley and those sorts of guys do plan and they draw out. I don't think Delay Designer does. I think she has said before she doesn't. And actually I think her style is probably more similar to mine than say Paulsley's is. I don't think I could draw this. It had to like organically come together. It's too fluid, it's too random. I don't think I would have been able to draw this out. I think if I had drawn it out, it would have been much more blocky and much more kind of square, and the habitats would have all felt more square, symmetrical. I'm really not a fan of symmetry. You don't see symmetry very much in these sorts of things. If you see symmetry, you see them in probably older zoos that are concrete sort of monstrosities or Victorian things. But yeah, I don't think I would have been. I mean, the whole thing was always supposed to feel like it was natural as it could be. Night, Dennis. Take it easy, dude. Have a good one. That's all right. I mean, that's the beauty of the stream. And I don't do these very well. And this is my first Planet Zoo stream, so I mean, that's streaming is so much more easier when you guys are chatting and got stuff to ask me and stuff. It's a lot easier that way. So yeah, I mean, what we're gonna probably work on. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stream for, but I'm going to work a bit on this area. So I have this like big weird area now, which happened again. It sort of happened organically. I didn't really intend for this to be. That ended up with this shape. I think I'm going to leave this. This is just a bit that they kind of look through into the backstage, which I thought was kind of fun for guests. But I think I also kind of want to leave a little bit of an opportunity to come back to this at some point if they add more South American stuff. But the bit I feel like I do need to do something with is here. So what I think I'm going to do, excuse me, having a quick drink of my water, is I'm going to just do, I think probably just like a bit of a refreshment area. It's not going to be anything too complicated. So let's get to work. I don't want to have it all the way down here. I'm just going to leave that bit empty. So we're going to just kind of close this off, I think. So yeah, I'm going to do this, guys, but obviously feel free to, I'm very much open for ideas and suggestions and questions and stuff while I'm doing it. As I said, it's a lot easier when you guys are chatting than the other way around. But I know that's not the way that everybody rolls. No exhibit. What sort of exhibit are you after, Trudon? Do a Trudon exhibit if we were playing Ark. I mean, I think someone asked me for a Galapagos turtle, which is the only one that's actually. Well, Never really thought, but yeah, Galapagos Galapagos turtle makes sense as a South American animal. I'm going to be a bit lazy with some of this because I'm. So that is, what is that? That's plaster. The other option, which I played around with, so I don't really plan, but I guess I do think about ideas. I don't know if I actively think about ideas, but I think ideas just kind of come. Was I really wanted this to be people. Weirdly, I wanted this bit to be like an educational section that was people of the jungle and about the effects that people have had. And only really was inspired by this. So I got this off the workshop ages ago. Actually, do you know what? We could maybe do this. Maybe let's try and do this. What wouldn't it be cool to have like a bit that's about like the effects that man is having on the rainforest and stuff like that. It might be a bit of a stretch, but we can give it a go. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. We're on the same page. Picking it down, putting it up. Whatever you say, whatever that is. Picking down what you're putting up. I spend way too long doing this sort of thing. It annoys the heck out of me. Okay, I'm going to have to sort this floor out because it's going to annoy me if I don't get it right. I don't want the Z fighting, so I'm going to just do... I'm going to do this. Just having a look at long time. So I've been streaming for 2 hours, but this will... Depends how long your patience is, guys, really. It's a bit of a process. But we'll get there. So I'm thinking immediately... I have a picture in my head now for what this could be. So I'm thinking that JCB thing is too big to like have in here by itself, but we could definitely do something where we just use like the arm of it. I know I could make this more efficient, by the way, guys. I could do this quicker with larger pieces, but that was bad. It does annoy me. The Z fighting annoys me. It's that texture glitch you get when you get two things overlapping. So we're just gonna. What have we got out there? That's got to be in. Okay, so maybe that's enough actually. Let's grab that wall. Yeah, this is potentially an achievable thing on stream. Let's grab that wall, pull it through. What's that say? Small suggestion. Try saying that again, Trudon, because I'm not quite sure what you're saying. Small model. Oh, small model of biggest dangers in rainforest. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, so that's I was originally thinking people of the rainforest was going to be like a, you see the like native tribes thing, but then I was like, oh, how am I going to make people? People was going to be bloody impossible. So maybe that idea is not going to work, but this I think definitely is achievable. Let's do. I'm just wondering if we do something interesting with the ceiling here. Yeah, let's do it. So we're just going to do... I'm going to do that, I think. Oh, the other tip as well, definitely another tip, is make sure when you're making a building, have like places that you can hide bits. So you'll always end up with this stuff. So there's obviously a reason. I don't think it is. I think I can do it, Trudon. I think we're on the same page there. So I think I can. at least have a good start of it. But yeah, what I was saying is if you don't have, so if you look, my roof here is up here, and I've got all these like, you know, water filters and pumps and things up here and solar panels and whatnot. But if that was the ceiling of this, if this piece here was the ceiling of my room down below, then I'd have to worry about anything sticking through. So if you double the ceilings, you can hide all this stuff away. So there's all these places where bits of the dome structure are all hidden away. But when you're down at peep level, you never really notice that. So let's just do, we're going to bring that. What have I done there? I've done smurfed it up. I done smurfed it up. That's what we're doing. That way. This will be a bit janky, but I think this will be fine. So I want to create just a nice angled wall. It's going to be a little bit of a fix. It's going to be a little bit of a fix on one end, but it'll be fine. And then let's plug that gap in. Let's just do that. Okay, so just got to fix this gap here. I've done places where I've not used the plaster roof as well, which is slightly annoying. I shouldn't have done this. I think I'm just going to do that for now. I know I'm going to have this bit sticking out, but we'll fix that later. Right, so that's my space. Let's get this tractor and we'll hack this tractor to pieces. So first thing I'm going to do is going to duplicate it, because I think I might want a few different bits of it. I didn't make this, by the way, guys. I lifted it off of the workshop. It's in the collection. A link should be in the description. So all I really want, I think, for now, is like that arm. Let's see if we can make this work. Not you. Yeah, I've given myself a little bit of a problem because the space is small and I've got the outer wall. The thing I just said I shouldn't be doing. I've got the outer wall there. About rainforest deforestation. Keep in mind that it's mostly caused by agriculture and yeah, it's to do with this. Yeah, that's what they say about beef burgers and stuff, isn't it? Soy. About the fact that we use, what is it? What's the oil? There's a particular oil, isn't there, that we use in palm oil is used in all sorts of things. Right, so I'm gonna have to get rid of that bit, but this is kind of the idea. I think that can work. I'm not going to worry about him for now. So it's supposed to be, so yeah, I think I can make this work. Right, so let's get something that gives it a bit of a kind of border. I'm also not going to worry about the peeps getting over here because there's going to be nothing to bring them over anyway. In fact, let's get something from somewhere else. And we'll get that. See if we can incorporate that. Because I want to use something that feels like it's... Actually, no, I don't need to do that. I will just go concrete. Or plaster. So we'll just do something that feels like it's a border. Yeah, it's not necessarily wood, is it? It's as you say, it's for agriculture. Yeah, I think we'll square, we won't square this, we'll do it at like an angle. Right. And we'll give that some detail. So let's go. I think we'll keep this. I think I'm going to keep this pretty simple. Let's go something like you, and then we'll just sink you in like that. I should have done it started from that end. Have I got, is that an empty space there? It is, yeah, cool. I think a comparison would be, yeah, if I had a bit more space, that would be cool, wouldn't it? I suppose I could do here. Maybe. We'll see how we do with time. But yeah, liking your ideas, dude. Thank you very much. Really helps. I think the thing is, it's one of those things, unless you're really used to streaming, like it takes a different bit of your brain to say. I think I tend to be someone that if I was doing this by myself, or even if I was recording it, I'd probably have some music on or something. But it's doing something that just kind of is different to the bit of your brain that happens when you're talking. Right, so it's going to look unspectacular for a while, guys, but we are going to get there. We definitely need some mulch to make it feel like it's the floor. No, you're not at all, dude. You're not at all. You are being exactly what a stream is supposed to be. There are some people that lurk, and there are some people that chat. Both of those groups of people are fine by me, and I do them both myself as well. So, in other people's streams, in fact, I think I probably, lurk more. Yeah, this wall is a problem. I wonder if I can. I feel like this wall is always going to be a problem, but I think we'll just make it. I think we'll just have to make it work. I was gonna double up the wall there, just to give me a bit more license to kind of hide things away. But yeah, this will I think will be an achievable thing. Maybe the one bit we won't do on stream is anything to do with like lettering and fonts and stuff like that, because that is a pretty time consuming and boring process to show. Okay, I've got a little bit of overlap there, but I'll see how I'm going. 2 hours into the stream already. There's 13 of you guys, so thank you very much for watching. Very much appreciated. As I said, it's my first Planet Zoo stream, and I'm not really a streamer, as you can probably tell. I'm definitely someone that's more at ease making videos, but I felt like it was a fitting end to this project. I think we should be fairly optimistic that a DLC is reasonably close. I don't know what you guys think, but it feels to me like it is. Right. What have we got going on up there? What's that little thing? Oh, that's a bit of the JCB. Okay. You can probably disappear, I think. All of that. And that there. Cool, thanks for watching. So, I mean, what really is going to bring this together is just going to be a bunch of trees, right? And wrecked trees, broken things. So, stuff that's going to look like it's broke. I think we're going to want some actual trees here, which is going to be a problem. In fact, that's not too bad. Yeah, so I think just more of that. I think really more of that will make it feel right. So this is the thing, right? So I think when you are doing, if you've got a picture in your head, I think it's often more likely that you're going to underdo it than like do too much. Like I'm a bit of a there's never enough person. I think I'm always sort of the sort of person that's like, don't kind of stop until it feels like the game's lagging. If the game's lagging, then you know you've got enough detail. I think that's kind of how my brain works on it. Is that coming out of the top of the... We can't have you, but we can have you down like there. There probably will be some like tidy up bits that I need to do, but I'm not going to worry about those too much. Okay, so this is looking all right as a start. What we need to do is we need to get this stuff. Right, so this is good for like forest floor, jungle floor. It's the habitat bedding. It just gives you another layer of detail that just starts to bring it together, and we're going to add quite a few more layers in order to get this convincing. But try and picture, I mean you could Google it, but try and picture what that is doing. But jungle floor would look like with the undergrowth and that sort of thing. So you would see bits of mud coming through. So let's go back to this, and we'll go back to our trusty crowberry bush, and we'll just stick a load of this in the ground as well. And all I'm really doing, like if you have to be careful if you're using the same piece. A lot of people say like change the piece that you use all the time, which you can, but you can also just make sure you like rotate and reposition, and you can layer stuff up to kind of look like it's... You can see all that's already starting to come together. What it needs is quite a lot more layering. We'll go for some arrow wood as well. I think that's going to work. Arrow, where are you? In fact, we can probably do some of these as well. Let's do some of these. See if we can get this tree looking a little bit less... looking like one of those. No, not so much that. Don't like that idea. What am I looking for? I'm looking for... Oh, I'm in the wrong... I'm in my own... in my favourites, that's why. Another good one for like ground coverage is this, arrow wood. And also good for just kind of making trees. I think I did that in a few places. I don't think I want that one. I think I want one that actually looks like a proper tree. So let's go content pack, South America. I think that's going to be too big, isn't it? We can maybe go right down into the floor. So if there was a straight one of these, I think that isn't going to work because it's going to make that look too wrong. So we're going to take that one out. Yeah, I don't think that works. Let's get an actual tree. Where's an see what you can do with stuff like this. Like obviously that would look like it's nuts, like way too big, Brazil nut. because it's sticking right out the top of the... We might just use it upside down. So if we just go yoink, push that up in there, get to a bit that feels like it's okay width-wise. And then we just need to do something to kind of blend the bottom of it in. Actually, that's not very straight, is it? It's quite angled. Let's just give you a turn. Is there a smaller? Maybe there's a smaller one of those. Try to add some felled logs. Yeah. See if they're destroyed by the tractor. Yeah, I think so. What have we got? Have we got a smaller one? I thought there was a smaller... Maybe that is the smallest. Yeah, I'm not actually liking that. I'm thinking that's not kind of working. Maybe we don't need to go... In fact, what are these like? Yeah, they could work upside down. They could work. You need to go up there. I think this is definitely quite a doable idea, I would say. Let's give that a spin so it doesn't look exactly the same. Let's see what else we've got. I think there's another one of those, isn't there? That's not going to work because it's too spindly. That can work though. Leave that spin. And then I know there's another tree that I can use. Foliage type trees. Oh, I know what I can use as well. So there's also the do planet have ipes? Is that a type of tree? I don't think so. Ipe tree. I don't think they do. Ipe. No, it doesn't look like it. That doesn't work either, does it? So that's our best one so far. They do look like trees. They look like a row of trees there, I think. And everything else is kind of a bit... you might work. Spin you over. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if that works. I think I'm just going to stick with these. Let me have another look then. Ipe. Turn all the filters off. I'll just do a search on yellow. Oh, it does. Yeah, but they're Japanese, aren't they? But yeah, you're right. You're right in saying that because we're going in with this idea of that nothing really should be restricted by the rules that it gives you. But I don't think that's going to work. Ipes are Brazilian. Oh, it didn't come up when I said South American though. Oh, maybe because I said South American pack. So let's go continent. You're quite right. You are quite right. Broken Ipes. So these are broken Ipes already. So what we need to do is we need to get some of these. I don't want to go too crazy with these. I think that's probably getting to a reasonable number there. I'm seeing it though. I'm seeing it come together. But we need some of these to feel like they've been knocked down. What are these? Cyprosia. I don't even know how to say that. Right, so which one are we using? We're using that number 1. And we're using that guy. So we'll go, I think we'll go maybe one more. And then I think we need to go. Yeah, it's a shame they've got this weird. Oh, that was better. Oh, what's going on there? It's got like a weird texture glitch that it does as you get. So it's skinny, and then when you get close to it, it gets fat. It's a shame they've got that big kind of bulbous bottom, because then we can't really use them. Guess we can do that. Maybe. Looks a bit rubbish, but we'll do one of those. And then we can go. In fact, we'll stay with those for a second. So what I was hoping to be able to do was to sort of lie them down, but we're gonna get that big bulbous bit sticking up out the floor, I think. Yeah, it's annoying it does that, because it's like, that's perfect until it turns into that weird mutant thing. In fact, what we could do, let's turn it the other way around. Let's see if we can just hide it in one of those. We'll just kind of hide the end in that, and then go like that. A little bit less, and we get in the. Yeah, that's not going to work, is it? We're going to have that sticking up. All right, let's go that way round. We'll try another idea. I think we can probably just hide this end so that it's like in a bush, and then it's not really noticeable. Obviously, we're going to have this bit, but that's fine because we're not going to do anything back there anyway. So let's go like that, and we'll turn it around that way a bit more so it's not sitting in there. Then we'll get a bush. I think we'll go back to this guy, and we'll just kind of go like that over the top of you, hide you away. Okay, just moving around, hold on a second. Okay, so let's get, I think what it needs next is some, not rubble, but some rocks. So temple, I'm going to go with a temple piece, and we're going to use, is there not a coloured version of that? I thought there was a coloured version of that. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. So it's this one. Temple stone support rubble. Okay, so if we just say rubble. Alright, well that'll do. We'll just use this. So we'll put that right down in the ground. It's a bit bright though, isn't it? It's not quite dark enough. Maybe let's actually use some rock then. God forbid we actually use some rock. We'll go a bit of. What do we want? I think we will go with a mossy, but not the not the dynamic one. I want a small one. I think that's a small one. That's a small one. That's a small one. Just for a bit of extra detail and layering, I think. Yeah, flexi colour, but I couldn't see it there. Was I being blind? Maybe I was being blind. I'll have another look in a second. Yeah, I thought it was flexi colour, but I couldn't see it. Let's just go, so biome, no, continent. What else can we use here? Right, so we can use some bits of like, that's not really the right colour. I'll tell you what we can use. We can use some bits of stuff like this. Kind of just upside down. Like that. It'll be your only option with filter on. Yeah, I didn't see it though. I thought it would have shown up because I searched for rubble. I didn't see it, so I was wondering if maybe they didn't add that. I'll look again in a sec though. So I don't know what we're doing really. Just bits of kind of coverage of just stuff like that. What's this stuff like? That's not good. Bracken. Some of these things as well, the bottoms of them, the like undersides, work really well. I'll show you what I mean in a sec. If I, not that one, although I do really like that. It's going to be too much if I do that though, I think. Oh, maybe it's not. No, that works. I think that works pretty well. A bit more coverage. Let's bring that up. Really nice thick tree root systems too. What else can we use? That's massive. Maybe some flowers and stuff across the surface a little as the added texture. Red version. Really nice thick tree root system. Yeah, what the roots. That's true. Could try that, couldn't I? Some of this. It's quite it's quite heavy though. I don't know. I feel like it's quite. But yeah, probably can use it a bit, can't I? Just for some extra bits of texture. Not that one though. It needs to be the small stuff. Just little bits of it poking through. No, that wasn't good, that one. Take that one back out again. I should probably not be using the align to surface here, but there's a big flat one, isn't there? Really big flat one. Is it that guy? That's the one. In fact, do these work that way round? Not really. Actually, that's not too bad. It looks a bit like broken sticks and stuff as well. Right, let me go back and look at the... Let me go back and look for my temple pieces then. So yeah, I thought this would work, John, because I've got rubble. I'm not seeing the flexi colour option. But what I could do is go content pack South America, because it was in the South America pack, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't think it's there. And then say property FlexiColor. Yeah, so they don't have it. They don't have the rubble in the FlexiColor, which I'm sure I've seen that on other people's. I mean, I can use this, I guess. I can use this. Let's use this. We'll go dark. Just kind of sink it right down. I'm not going to get a lot of coverage and use for that, but it's all right as an extra bit of something, I guess. It's a bit pointless. It's a bit pointless. It doesn't quite work as well as the rubble does. Okay. Picked is the one I was thinking of. Yeah, but oh right, that's what you meant. These. Yeah, I wonder why they didn't give us the other option. Yeah, I thought it was as well. I feel like I've seen other people using that. But maybe not. Maybe not. I can't see why they would have taken it out. Strange. Definitely not there though. Okay, so we're going to do what we usually do. I usually end up doing a scroll. Right, so there we go. Immediately we're like, okay, this is usable. Not in the foliage set, but so this again, I think I use these in like the I can't remember what that's called now. That thing over there and this, I used a load of those. In fact, let's look what I did here as well, because I did some of this here. So there's a fallen tree as well. A few little splashes of flowers and things would be nice as well, I think. On this side. And maybe even some flames. Like here. A few little bits of flames. Do we think that's coming? I think that's coming together. Maybe we need stuff back on the walls as well. Could go green. Let's have a look. Could make these walls green. See what this looks like. Let's just do that for now. Oh, didn't mean to do that. That's what I meant to do. Yeah. What are you thinking for graphics? So I'm thinking graphics on this wall, but I'm not sure what yet. I don't think this needs loads more, you know. I think maybe some more fallen bits of tree. I've got a tiny little bit of foliage poking through there, which I can't be doing with. Get back in there. That's it. We could use habitat, couldn't we? Could use habitat logs. Habitat. Any hanging leaves from ceiling? Yeah, we'll have a look. We'll have a look. That might be a good shout. What about some of these guys, but the bigger ones? Falling down. Ooh, I've just had an idea as well. Bear with me a second. I've just had an idea. So this, turn this round, bring this out a bit. Feeling it now, guys. I'm feeling it. I'm in the zone. The juices are flowing. do like a little triangle stack in the back right corner. That's John, you and I, my friend. You and I think all you guys have been awesome. You really have helped me out with the yes, that's exactly what I'm doing right here. That's exactly what I'm doing. What I was thinking was, or maybe I should just show you guys. Maybe I'll just do it, and then you can see what I'm doing. Right, so I was habitating, wasn't I? Habitat logs. Don't want that one. I want this one. This one? Is that really long? Moonlight. So we are making like a education area about deforestation, basically. Yeah, I'm gonna have some. I think I'm gonna have some flame in there somewhere. Trudon. Are those too big? I feel like maybe they're going to be too big. Is that down on the floor? Yeah. Okay. So I think if we just kind of go like this, and we'll just give a couple of them a spin, so it doesn't feel quite so uniform. And we'll do a little stack. Red, yellow, orange background. Hang on one second. I think I understand what you mean. Okay, so that. Just had another idea. This isn't going to quite fit into the theme, but what about like a city? Like a cityscape. So it's like the city, like human, the spread of humanity crashing down on the forest. So this is just like a silhouette of a forest, of a city. Let me sit with that idea for a minute. So I'm going to finish this idea first. It's just going to give a few of these a spin so they don't feel quite so uniform. Yeah, like clearing the space for new development. That's my thought. It's more of a metaphor, Trudon, than actually like what's happening. I know you're right. It is much more that it's much more about oil and all that sort of stuff, which is why this doesn't really make sense, because I'm about to make a reference to lumber, which isn't really massively relevant, but it's fine. I'm not gonna obsess too much on the reality, just the fun of it. This isn't actually supposed to be educational, it's just supposed to be fun. Let's just do that for a sec. I just think this would look slightly better if this was actually... No, it's fine. I wasn't trying to sort of stifle your involvement there, but I'm more than happy for the input. I'm more than happy for the input. I've still got to fix that bit of mulch there. In fact, let's not do this like this. Let's do this with... I also should remember to save. Stream. Flat shapes. Let's get some of this down. I think this will probably be easier to do. What do I want to do here? Let's just go black. I wish I didn't have this wall. This is the one thing that annoys me because I know I'm making all these issues out here. But I think we can make it work. Yeah, that's quite cool. That's quite cool, John. Maybe we make a massive burger. Maybe make a massive beef burger. Maybe maps showing the different... Oh, I can't make another map, dude. I can't make another map. And that's a cool idea, but that is a lot of work. That one out the front in the entrance lobby took probably 2 or 3 hours by itself. It's a cool idea though. Definitely. I'm just making like a raised platform here, that's all I'm doing. It's a little tip. The art shapes are so good for this sort of thing because they don't do the Z fighting for some reason. They just blend beautifully together. Are we outside? No, we're inside there. Cool. How long did the coordination of colouring that map take you? So the making of the map, once I'd got to the actual the grid, so the first bit, if you saw that video, is me making the actual grid, the matrix of the gutter pieces. From that point, probably about 3 hours to do all the colouring. I don't think I did it all in one sitting though. I think I came back a couple of times and did it. So not too bad, not too bad. And I had a picture on my other monitor of a map and I just kind of followed that. We're gonna. This is annoying. It's gonna be a problem. Yep. But again, that's like I'm gonna use that many times more in every day. What point did I? Yeah, pretty much straight away. As soon as I came up with the idea, I was like, "Oh, am I really going to do this?" And then I was doing it, and then we were in. It wasn't as bad. Usually, those sorts of things are mostly just the working out how you're going to do it. That's most of the time. The actual doing, I don't mind those sorts of things. It's just like whack a podcast on or put some music on. Like I usually have something else on my other monitor. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm just doing that, aren't I? Crap, I didn't mean to do that. So it's just a bit of, like, sometimes those sort of things are just a bit of a zone out. Like it was a really repetitive task, so just find that stuff sort of quite chill. I'm smurfing this up big time. I'm making such a meal out of this simple platform because I don't want any of that sticking it up. There we go. I use a different mouse on stream or when I'm recording, which is a quieter mouse, but it's not as precise. So that's why I'm that's why I'm struggling slightly with it. But it doesn't click basically. So let's just do that. Okay, so this is supposed to be like turns into lumber, turns into something. What can we use here? So I think we'll just do something super simple. I'm not sure this is going to look great, but we'll thin. Is that going to be too thin? I might just make some stuff. I think I'm just going to make some like little tables and chairs. Which is going to be a pain because I know already that isn't going to be quite as simple as I said, because there isn't going to be a piece other than the bracket, the trim piece or whatever it's called, this guy. It's going to work for that. I mean, there is also the other thing you've got to think about as well when you're, especially when you're recording. Like, I bin quite a lot of ideas. Like, I spend quite a lot of time doing things, and then I go, no, just not gonna. I'm not gonna keep that, or not gonna include that. So I think there probably were I think there were 2 other versions of that map before I settled on the one that I did. So that's the stuff when I mean like figuring out how it works. It's the time spent getting it right to the point where you're happy with it. Same with the dome. Like the dome structure, I think I built 3 or 4 times before I was happy. This is a bit random. I don't know. I'm not sure this is going to work, but we'll just stick with it. Did that just fix the Z fighting? It looked a bit like it did. No. I hate that. I absolutely hate having to do that. But I know why it does it, and I know there's no way really of avoiding it. Okay, so it's like a little random chair so far. And I probably... So this is the sort of thing, like, if I wasn't streaming right now, I would 100% have just gone to the workshop and downloaded Zekin's office furniture pack. Just use that. Because it's going to be better than anything I'm doing as quickly as I'm doing it. That's terrible. I think that's all right. I think we'll go with that as just an idea. It's a bit small, isn't it? I don't know what it's like a stool. There we go. Good talking with you. About to subscribe so I can come back tomorrow and watch how this finished up for you. I'll catch up with you later. Cool. Thank you very much, John. Cheers for all your contributions and everything, dude. Very much appreciated, and thanks for subscribing. So I might come back to that and do a bit more on that in a minute, but I think that's probably okay for now. Right, so what were the two ideas we were knocking around? We were knocking around the idea of it being like flames somewhere, and I was talking about the potential of it being like a city. So why do one thing when you can do both? What time are we? How long have we been streaming for? I'm just checking. Almost 3 hours. All right, I'll go a bit longer. Let's see if we can get this done. We needed some sort of sign as well. I think maybe the sign can go here. All right, so we're going to do... Let's fix this mulch quickly. Better than anything I do. Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you. Stick you down in the corner. Okay. Right, so what I was thinking is let's find the thing that's got the fire. Fire is... there's a couple of things that have got fire, isn't there? There's like a torch. Can we make this look convincing? Just needs to feel like little bits of fire get down in the ground. It's got to be unpaused for this to work, isn't it? Yeah, but you're assuming that all of this is real, dude. You're assuming that all of this foliage and this wood is real. What if it wasn't? What if it was all just fake and made out of paper mache or something? Then it would be fine. You see that? I mean, if you think about what you see in Disney, right? So if you think about in some of the Disney rides where they've got... I mean, I remember, this is going to show my age, but there was a backdraft ride at Universal Studios that had, you know, fire and all sorts of things, but none of the stuff that looked like it would burn actually would burn because it wasn't real. Not be real fire, yeah. I mean, yeah, I suppose it could just look like it was fire. There's another thing that's got fire as well, isn't there? That's probably slightly better than that. This feels like it's a bit laggy as well. That one. Can that one be sunk into the floor and still make fire? Doesn't work as well, that one, does it? There is just a single torch though, isn't there? Is it in the lights? There's that. Does that make fire as well? Alright, Judon. Cheers, dude. Thank you very much for your contributions and for hanging out. Very much appreciated. Fire. Oh, we can use this, can't we? This is quite a good little fire thing. In fact, it's exactly the same fire model as the other one. If we just put a few of them together, we can kind of just create... I think we can just kind of create this little... It's supposed to just be kind of... Yeah, I think that's kind of working. I think I'm going to slightly struggle with the black and red and... Oh, this. Oh, that's actually quite a nice one as well. Let's just sink that down a little bit more. Right. So what I was playing, the idea I was playing around with my head was that it was sort of really simple looking buildings. So almost like a. So let's actually do this because then we'll get a bit of space to play with as well before that wall. We'll just go. I'll go grey with this. And we'll sink that down in the floor. Gets me a bit of space to play with before we have to worry about the wall as well. Maybe we do this right across. Let me push this up here. Yeah, so I just want something that kind of symbolises like the rest of the world, like the non-natural world. So I might just pause it actually, because those are lagging me quite a lot, those little flames. So if we go, I want to just create some really simple little buildings, or the idea of some buildings. And in fact, what if we do it up there? This is going to take a while before this looks like anything that makes sense, guys, but I think I've got a picture in my head that we can work to. That's too big. So I'm sort of trying to make it. I'm going to make this sort of look like it's like a city on the hill in the distance. It's all implied, obviously. This is all just a metaphor, I guess. So if you go a bit darker or lighter in the foreground. So if we do, no, that's way too light. Let's go like that. And the same for you. No, change the wrong one. That one. Bring you forward slightly. And yeah, I think we can do something. I think this can be a thing. It's going to be weird, but I think it's supposed to be almost like a diorama, if that's the right word. And let's go. I'll go that way with one as well. And I don't know if I want to go as explicit as saying this number of animals, etc., etc. I think I just want to make the broad point about deforestation. Okay, so next we go and we create like a hill, not quite as extreme as that. Okay, we'll use the flat pieces then. So get really dark green, and we'll push this into the wall, but not too much. Okay, yeah, I think this can work. Follow this round a little bit. So this is supposed to be like, I don't know, I think this is supposed to just be a symbol of human expansion, or man's expansion into the jungle. May well end up looking awful, but we shall see. Okay, so you can come down. Right, okay, so that's the first layer. That can come down as well. In fact, we'll do that. I'll do that at 45 degrees. Spin. Okay. Right. So that's the city on the hill for now. It needs some shading in this area. So let's do some more of that. Get a couple of these. This will do. And we'll get the same green that we just used. That's not the same green that we just used. Where is it? Wow, that's so dark on that palette, but it's not actually that dark. What's that one we were using? No, it was this one. Oh, is it? Oh, I'm not pasting my colour in, that's why. Derp. And it's weird how dark that looks in the palette, but it's really not as dark as that. Do we want to go lighter? I think we want to go lighter. I don't know if this is going to work as an idea, but we shall see. It's difficult to describe what I'm doing until it kind of is there. That's good enough. And then I think we need one. That's not quite right, that one. One or two more of these layers. I think what I'm doing is adding like shading here. I didn't get one there. I missed one. So this is supposed to be like creating a lighter foreground coming down to create this sort of perspective of its coming down here, and then I'm going to add a road snaking down there that comes to this. I think that corner needs to disappear, but we'll get there. Let's get you. Should have merged these together, would have been easier. Okay, so lighter still. Oh, we missed one. Come. Yeah, that's my mouse. I'm struggling with this mouse. I'm trying to save the clicks from the stream. Let's go forward again. And I know this is probably pretty confusing what I'm doing here, but hopefully the end result will make sense, or it will look awful, which is entirely a possibility. But that's you got to do unless you never know unless you do it. That's not too bad. This edge I don't like, so let's bring that one over to there. And then that one over to there. It just needs one more layer the same. And then bring forward. Got a little gap appearing there for some reason. I don't think that's... I'm not sure it's actually a gap. Was it just a clash of textures? Let's do that. No, I think that's all right. And so slightly lighter again. Okay. Yeah, it's coming together. I feel like a bit Bob Rossi at the moment, but I think it's gonna work. Right, this little edge needs tied in. It's weird. It's so much more noticeable in the light colour when you don't have things quite lining up properly. Go up there. Right, so then all we need is the thinnest one of these in a grey, like that. No, that's green. But in a grey. And then we'll turn that 45 degrees. And again. And I think this is going to stick out the back of the wall, isn't it? But never mind. I think I want it to work that way round. So we're going to have this. This is going to have to go up into the city. So the whole city's got to come forward a touch. Like, oh man, this mouse is a struggle. It doesn't work, does it? Go back. I have to angle this in. And then sink it back in. Or could we use a different piece? Maybe we could use a different piece. Let's have a look for a second. I want something that's just small and recolorable. And a flat piece. I think that's too big. Oh, that's maybe alright. That'll do. Go to the grey. Spin that round. Yeah. It's not right. Still not right. Gutter. I'm trying to make it so it doesn't stick out. Although I suppose it does kind of need to stick out a little bit because it needs to come down to there. I want it to disappear into that. That's it, got it. So get rid of you. And then get rid of you a second. Oh, I've spun it so it's awkward now. I think we can fix that though. Let's just bring this slightly forward. There we go. Perfect. Right, so that is not the layer I want. I want the layer underneath. That one. Sorry, 1 second. So that one, that, and that. Merge that together. This is so awkward now. Let's just do this. it's just not, it's not a small enough piece to do what I want, so I think I'm not gonna worry too much and just get it in. I could use the other gutter piece, I suppose. I think once it's in, if I light it, if I just make sure the shading's right, it will kind of bring the point. I think it will bring the point together, or the idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so it obviously is now is not, it's got no perspective, so it needs some perspective to it, because that just looks like a line. It needs to get bigger as it comes down the hill, so we need to go, that was all right there, we'll make it a bit wider there, and we'll turn that slightly, and then we'll grab that and we'll pull that. Hey Nopsu, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. We're doing strange things, but I think I've got an idea of what we're doing. I think I've got an idea of what I'm doing. I'm trying to make a road coming off of the hill that slowly comes closer and closer to us. It may or may not be working. Okay. I think that's okay. I think it's going to make sense in a second. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but I think we can make that. I think we can live with that. So let's fill this in. This is where it definitely would have been better to use the art shapes, but just because they handle overlapping better than this does. And so this is where you can see, like, this is why if I was doing this stuff for a whole zoo, my computer would just die and the game just wouldn't be able to handle this amount of layering and stuff. And I mean I'm not particularly efficient as a builder at all, because I don't really want to care about that. Like, I don't really want to care about having to make the game run okay. I know that's not the case for everybody, but okay, so that, I think that kind of makes, like, I need to do something with that edge. Let's get rid of that one. Oh, sorry, no, didn't mean to do that. Get rid of that. So I think if I now give this, let's get the gutter piece again, and we'll now go white with it, or at least much grayer, and we'll turn that slightly so we can just get a line. Alright, this needs to get, this line needs to get shorter as it goes away from us, but ugh. This is definitely one of those what have I got myself into moments, but in for a penny, in for a pound. Okay, that's getting shorter. Oh, it's so fiddly. It's to move away from us a bit more, to go in a bit more. And away from us a bit more. I think I'm getting there with it. It probably doesn't look like it yet, guys, but I think we can get this to work. That's too far, but I can just move that one. I think if I just move this guy, that's not the right pace, is it? I'm never going to get that bit back again now. There it is. I should have just stuck with those pieces because I think those pieces actually work better. It's just difficult with a wheel now because I'm on a rotation already. And I'm trying to use the fact that it's rotated to my advantage. Is that doing it? Is that kind of doing it? Let's get it. I want one or two more of these little dashes to suggest that it's going into the distance. So what I'm trying to do is make it smaller. There. Nailed it. Does that make sense now? I think that makes sense. It looks like it looks like a road. To me in my head anyway, it's a road coming off of the hill down towards us, and the perspective of it is coming towards us. It's a quite abstract sort of thing, but I think it's kind of okay. Right, so let's give this little town some detail. Right, so we want these guys, the drips. I love these little drips because they are amazing at adding tiny little lines to things. So all we need to really do to create a city up here is create little windows on these buildings. I think that's all it's going to need. Those may be a little big. Let's try this out. We'll give this a go and then we'll see if it works. And if we get it right, we can just replicate it across all the other buildings. So let's do that. I've got 2 rows of them now. Grab all of these. I missed one there. It does get a bit awkward when you're doing this sort of thing because you have to get to the layer you want. Getting access to the right layer is usually the problem. So the trick is to do what I just did there and delete. See, I can't get to that. I can't click it. It's not in the right place. So get to the ones you can get to. Undo, merge. So I've got almost all of those. So all I need to do is get rid of that layer again. I can get rid of that layer now as well. Select the ones I can't get. Undo to put those back in. And then I should just be able to grab my new layer. So that, once you learn that little trick, that like really gets you out of those little pain in the ass problems where you can't select things. It looks like we're slightly not aligning properly there because it's probably not letting me. What else are we merged to? Are we in a group with something else? I don't know. It feels like it's in a group with something else, but maybe not. Yeah, I think that will work. I think all we need to do is just make a little grid. Let's just make a little bunch of these just to look like windows. I think that's already looking like a building more. It's a shame it doesn't, textures don't do well at distance, but I think if I just pull them out slightly. Yeah, I think that's okay. Got the wrong object there. Let's grab those. Right, so now I've got these, I can just drag these across And up close, they look like they're slightly out of, they're all slightly out of alignment. But it doesn't really matter because we're not viewing them at that sort of distance anyway. So let's just stick these now into our other buildings. I mean, this is basically the same building as that one over there anyway. Do this one all the way down, I think. That one, if it gets another row, maybe. Or we'll just centre these. Yeah, it's coming together. Coming together. It's a strange idea, but I think it's going to work. Duplicate that again. I'm not going to do every building. I think I'm just going to do kind of a little bit of a gesture like this. And then this one up here can have some as well. And then all the rest can stay as they are. Right. Okay. It doesn't look amazing, but I think it's all right for what it is. Once we give it the context of the sign and stuff, which is probably the last thing we'll do. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think it kind of makes sense. I think the idea is sort of there, that it's maybe it needs some smoke and stuff. Maybe we need to do some. Let's get some effects going. Smoke. I don't actually really ever use these, so I don't know what this is going to look like, but let's try that in there. Unpause the game. That's too much, isn't it? What's the... Small? That's the small one? God, that's massive. Sink it right down into the floor then. What does that do? Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. We're getting there. We're shedding viewers. Because I'm just quietly beavering away. Right, so I think all we need to do just to kind of bring this home is some sort of sign here. Let's pause you guys because you're annoying. It definitely probably needs a good couple more hours just to kind of finish this off, but we'll do a bit more. Like this definitely needs some more thought and development into it. Right, so let's get some sort of sign. I think we'll just go simple with the sign, and we'll get a bit of an art shape dealy going on. That's too big. That's too big. Something like that, and then we'll get white is often a bit too. The white in the game is often a bit too much. Like it doesn't look realistic as paper. So slightly more. I think it's slightly more yellowy. Okay, and then we'll just give this like a trim. So thin. In fact, we'll go with the girders trim. That's not it. That's it. So that is the wall trim. And flip. I might even just do that. Okay, let's get a couple of lights in. bit of lighting. That's probably going to be too much, but we'll go with one of these, or one or two of these spotted around. And we will go with, I think, probably just something simple, like this. Probably need some, yeah, I think this room needs some more detailing as well, like the bottoms of the walls and the tops of the walls and stuff, but not for today. And then what's the actual, there is a habitat, or there's a education board, isn't there, that's got stuff about deforestation on it. Where are you? So let's go stick that down. Doesn't need to be in that group with everything else. Deforestation. Yeah, so this talks about orangutans. I mean, I guess we'll just have this in here, but I don't think that's really what I want to focus on. I haven't really focused on that specifically. I mean, I guess we could sort of translate that into this, though. What about that sign? So there is an orangutan sign, I believe, somewhere there. That's probably a bit. That's not the right colour, but yeah, we don't have orangutans, do we? We don't have orangutans in the. This isn't right, because we don't have orangutans in the dome, because this is South America. So that's not really right. So I don't think we'll do that. I think we'll leave that. So I think the last thing we'll do then is just, I'm going to nip out the side of the dome, and I'm going to grab, I think I've got a font knocking around here somewhere. I'll probably just do it over here. Oh, here's one. Here's one I made earlier. Moblong's font. This is probably the right size. Let's have a check. Grab the whole thing. No, I'll grab just a bit of this then. Let's have a quick look. See if that's the right sort of size for this sign. Yeah, that's going to be a bit small. Okay, so we'll get one of Rice's then, I think. So, jump out of that. And that one I don't think is recolorable. I don't think it is anyway. No, it's the light bracket. But I think that might do. What shall we say? What should be our wordage? Is this Brooklyn one massive? It's massive, isn't it? I've always find I'm sort of always between sizes. These fonts are amazing, but I'm always between the sizes of what's available. I wish there were more amazing fonts made by more people with more patience than I've got. I think we'll just go. I think we'll just use this, and we'll say like save the forest or something. So if you haven't used these fonts before, they are an absolute godsend. And all you need to do is they do take a bit of fiddling. You have to kind of Make sure you're moving them around in the right way. This is how I usually do it. I usually get them, keep them on the sort of canvas that they're made with, and get things kind of lined up on there. Save. Maybe we'll say save the jungle. Save our jungles. Or whatever the, maybe we'll translate it into Planko. Say whatever it actually translates to. I wonder if there's actually a dictionary or like a translator of Planko, so that you can write it and interpret into what. I mean, I think it is a whole. I think they did make like a whole language, which is so nuts. But oh, I've gone wrong. This isn't going to work. Take some time. This is definitely one of the more tedious things to do, but they do really make a big difference. Save. Oh, nice one, Trudon. Welcome back. We're not far off of finished, to be honest. I'm just kind of putting some text together for a sign. Save. Ow. I did say I wasn't going to be doing the text, but I think it just kind of needs it. I will show you very shortly. Once I've finished this bit, dude, I'll quickly show you. So this is the sort of thing I think that I don't think if I was making a video that I would do this in one sitting. I think I would. This is probably, I would say, the first iteration of this idea, and I think I would come back and do more on it and add more and tweak more over the course of a week. I usually record my videos pretty much, I pretty much work on them every day. My videos usually go out on a Friday, and I work on them every day of the week up until that point. Often until like just before I'm about to launch the video, or record, at least before I'm recording the video, I'm still working on it, doing little changes, which is why after my videos I say that the time-lapse content is slightly different than what I do in the real-time tool. And that's often because between recording those two things, I have gone back and tweaked something and changed something. Which kind of works for me, because I think you just get the opportunity to get those extra levels of detail in there. That I know is a very slow process, but for me is worth it. So if we were continuing this, definitely if we were continuing this project, I would do more on this after today. And I'm not going to get rid of the file, so I'm obviously going to have this available. Yeah, even this is pretty rough, but yeah, I'm going to have this available. So if they do ever end up adding more South American animals, then I can go back and do more on that. So let's get this inside, awkwardly moving through the wall. And then I need to get it out of the group with that. And this is the fiddly part. It's getting it in alignment with this. It's not too bad as a first hit. Okay, That's pretty good. Right, so we did this basically. It's like a city on the hill with this kind of road coming down. It's all very metaphorical, and as I said, I would definitely do more with that. I mean, okay, I suppose I could just kind of grab this whole set and duplicate it. Maybe let's have a look at what that looks like. Let's try just grabbing all of it and seeing if we can just stick it, I don't know, kind of. Maybe that does. I don't think that works as well. Okay, so last little bit then, just some details on this sign, and then I think we'll call it a what. That will be, because I've been streaming for 3 hours and 40 minutes, so I think we're getting to the end of my efforts. I think we'll just do. And I definitely did like the idea of like leaves hanging down. Let's see if we can just do that quickly. If we can do something that makes that work. Arrow wood. So if we just go like something like that. Yeah, it's going to be tricky. It's going to need more kind of nuance than that, I think. Maybe that works. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Right, so let's just add some tiny little finishing touches to this, and we've kind of leaving that as if what it is. I probably shouldn't have done that at all, but maybe in the future I'll come back and do some more detail into that. I think this is just going to get a couple of little like signs on it, just some leaves and things. As I said, the orangutan is the symbol for this sort of stuff, I guess, but it doesn't really make sense in a South American thing to do that. I think we'll just do like. That's not what I wanted to do at all. I think we'll just do something super simple here. Just to add a bit of something to this. Hey D, how you doing, man? You're jumping in right at the end of my brain dribbling out of my ear, basically, having spent way too long doing something in this game, as is my way. Yeah, this is very simple, but I think that last one doesn't work. And then I think we'll just add a couple of little flowers and stuff. How you doing, D? Hope you're well. A couple of the little South America bits, I think we'll just do like something like that. Trying to get that one just behind the thing, but on top of the... That's all right, man. No worries. Yeah. That's not working, is it? Might just leave it as that. I mean, it's not very. That's not very kind of amazing, and I think again it would get some more detail in. So, I think that's kind of it. I think that's kind of our like thing. Oh dear. I think that's kind of. I think this would definitely, if I spent another few episodes on this. Sorry, another few sessions on this. It would definitely kind of come together. I think it kind of makes sense as what it is. It's like, yeah, it does tell the story. It just needs a little bit of polish. So yeah, thank you to everybody who's hung around for the whole time. That was very awesome. Thank you for all the peeps that contributed ideas and stuff. We'll just do a last tiny little fly around then, just to say goodbye to this place, because I don't think we're going to be seeing it anytime soon unless they make some major updates to the zoo, to the game. And I think the next thing, basically, I'm going to be working on like really small little projects now. I think. So I think I might just, I'm looking for sort of my next creative idea. So I think I'm probably gonna like choose an animal. This is going to probably happen for at least a few weeks. I'm just going to choose an animal and make a habitat for it. And that thing is going to stand alone completely. And then once I've found one that kind of feels like I'm happy with the style, then I'll settle on that. So I have no idea what I'm working on next. Just a random fun fact, estimates say that all Atlantic rainforests have less than 200 jaguars. Wow. What is shocking is they used to inhabit commonly. Yeah, it's pretty awful, isn't it? It's definitely not great at the moment with Brazil and the way that the politics in Brazil is not helping. But yes, so that's the end. We'll just do a little quick look at the night because I quite like it in the night in here. Slow all the peeps down because they're moving at super speed for some reason. And if you haven't seen any of the videos, guys, then they're all on my channel. And yeah, I think that's going to be it. Hopefully have a new video on Planet Zoo next Friday. Tuesday is house flipper stuff, and there's a few other things happening at the moment on the channel. Discord link in the description somewhere, maybe, or on my channel at least, anyway, and my Twitter and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. It's been awesome. Do appreciate it. Have a good one, and I shall catch you guys on the next one.